Chapter 92. However, the young Qilin was still a bit weaker than the lunar wind beast. After its flame was swallowed by the hurricane continued to attack the young Qilin. The young Qilin had no more spiritual energy left, so it could only fall to the ground and accept its fate of defeat. Just when the lunar wind beast thought that victory was in sight, a small dark red flame pierced through the hurricane and hit its body. Roar! The moment the lunar wind beast came into contact with the small flame, it immediately let out a painful cry and rolled on the ground. Just when the young Qilin was about to be swallowed by the hurricane, Ling Xiao shouted and used the cloud phantom technique. All the wind attribute in his body gathered under his feet and he flew towards the young Qilin. Boom boom! The hurricane engulfed Ling Xiao and the young Qilin. The cliff was also blasted into a 100-meter deep ditch. This was the power of a 4th-rank spirit beast. It was comparable to a martial artist or a king-level human, maybe even stronger. The lunar wind beast didn't have a good time either. The flames on its body seemed to be inextinguishable. No matter how hard it rolled, the flames couldn't be extinguished. After a while, a large part of its body was burned by the flames. Deep white bones could be seen. It let out a series of miserable cries, and even after circulating its dark protection force, it was unable to extinguish the fire. In the end, it had no choice but to run towards the place where the Yin Qi was the strongest. In the 100-meter deep ditch, Ling Xiao and the young Qilin were on two sides. One man and one beast had avoided the most violent attack of the hurricane, but they were still injured. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was covered in blood. One of his arms had been cut by the hurricane. His arm was hanging down powerlessly as if it was useless. Ling Xiao's face was pale as he said to himself, "Fortunately, the bones are not broken. Otherwise, I would have been crippled." He didn't think that he would be so hot-headed as to rush out to save the young Qilin. Fortunately, he was fast enough and didn't get hit by the strongest attack. Otherwise, he would have died. Fortunately, these injuries could be healed by the Vajra 5 transformation technique. The recovery speed of the Vajra 5 transformation technique was several times faster than before. Ling Xiao didn't notice that the blood on his arm slowly flowed down to the ring on his middle finger. The ring quietly absorbed the blood on the ring, and then flashed a silver light, and then returned to normal. Ling Xiao clutched his arm as he used the Vajra 5 transformation technique to repair the broken muscles and tendons on his arm. Then he slowly walked over to the young Qilin. The young Qilin laid on the ground with a dark expression in its eyes. Thick blood flowed around its body and its fangs were still bared, as if it didn't want to let down its guard at all. "Little guy, are you okay?" Ling Xiao didn't dare to get too close, so he asked carefully. However, after he said these words, he really wanted to slap himself. Wasn't this nonsense? His entire body was covered in bloody scars. How could he be fine? The young Qilin blinked its eyes as it panted heavily through its nostrils. Blood flowed out from the corner of its mouth again. How can I save you?" Ling Xiao looked at the young Qilin and became anxious. He didn't want anything to happen to this mighty and handsome young Qilin. He kept asking himself how he could save it. That's right. There's still the black Ganoderma. In his anxiety, Ling Xiao remembered that he still had the middle stage, second stage black Ganoderma from the black bear. He gave one to Lone Eagle and one to the bear cub. He still had 2 left for Lone Eagle to bring back to his father. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and walked to the young Qilin's side. "Little fellow, I don't have any bad intentions. I'll bring you out of here. I think I have a way to save you." The young Qilin seemed to understand Ling Xiao's words and blinked its large eyes. Just as Ling Xiao was about to carry the young Qilin on his back, something strange happened. The young Qilin actually gradually shrunk by a few times. Finally, it turned into a spiritual beast that looked like a lion cub that had just been born for a few months. Its body was covered in scarlet fur, and the fluffy fur made it look very cute. Even its 2 antlers had shrunk back, and only the single horn on its forehead remained. Fuck! It can still transform. Ling Xiao was startled by the young Qilin's transformation and couldn't help but let out a strange cry. Then he picked up the young Qilin with one hand and ran out of the trench. That big fellow disappeared. Ling Xiao poked his head out of the trench to see what was going on. He didn't see any lunar wind beasts, so he ran back to the entrance of the cave. Ling Xiao carried the young Qilin into the cave and then looked at Yun Mengqi, who was still receiving the inheritance. He could feel her aura gradually recovering. The skeleton had already shrunk by half and the blue light was continuing to give Yun Mengqi the inheritance. The inheritance really is extraordinary. Ling Xiao sighed inwardly. Then he picked up his bag and opened the box with the black lingji inside. 2 bowl-sized black lingji appeared in front of him. Although the black lingji wasn't some kind of miracle medicine, it could increase profound strength, relax the muscles, and extend one's lifespan. Seeing the young Qilin on the verge of death, Ling Xiao had no other choice. He could only hope that the black lingji would be able to help the young Qilin recover some of its strength and allow it to heal on its own. Each black lingji was worth close to 10,000 gold coins. Ling Xiao's heart ached when he took one out. Ling Xiao carried the young Qilin and the black lingji as well as his own bag out of the cave. He didn't want to disturb Yun Mengqi receiving the inheritance. "Little fellow, eat it. That way you'll get better quickly." Ling Xiao placed one of the black lingji in front of the young Qilin. The young Qilin raised its eyes slightly and then used its nose to sniff the black lingji in Ling Xiao's hand. Just when Ling Xiao thought that the young Qilin would eat the black lingji, he discovered that the young Qilin actually closed its eyes again and didn't eat the black lingji. "Little fellow, don't be naughty. Hurry up and eat it." Ling Xiao didn't understand what was going on, but who knew that the young Qilin would only pant and didn't eat the black lingji? It can't be that it doesn't suit the taste, right? Ling Xiao was speechless. Then he opened his bag and took out all the low second-level spirit herbs and placed them in front of the young Qilin. "Come take a look. These are all delicious things. Be good, eat them, and you'll recover." Ling Xiao spoke as if he was coaxing a child. The young Qilin raised its eyes once more. Just as it was about to close its eyes again, it suddenly struggled up and bit towards a brocade box. "Don't!" Ling Xiao hurriedly tried to stop it, but it was already too late. The contents of the brocade box had already been swallowed by the young Qilin. "F***CK. You little fellow, aren't you trying to kill me?" Ling Xiao said as he sat down with a pained expression. What the young Qilin had eaten was the 3rd-level Lightning Eagle's beast core. This beast core was more precious than all the spirit herbs here. He didn't expect that the young Qilin would not eat spirit herbs but instead swallow the beast core. This made his heart ache. The young Qilin that had swallowed the beast core finally began to react. The beast core was the essence of any spirit beast. It contained the spirit beast's lifetime's energy. Most martial artists who wanted to absorb the beast core did not dare to directly swallow it. That was because the beast core's energy was extremely explosive. If they were the slightest bit careless, their body would explode and they would die. Hence, most martial artists who wanted to absorb the beast core would mix it with spirit herbs to refine it into a medicinal pill before they dared to consume it. This way, they could avoid the dangers of absorbing the beast core. But right now, the young Qilin had directly swallowed the 3rd-level Lightning Eagle's beast core. While Ling Xiao's heart ached, he was also breaking out in cold sweat for it. This little thing was too impulsive. Ling Xiao took half a step back, not daring to get too close. If he got caught in the crossfire, it would be even worse. However, the young Qilin did not explode and die like Ling Xiao had imagined. All he saw was that after it swallowed the beast core, its body flashed with a ball of energy and it returned to its original state. The wounds on its body healed at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye and its breathing gradually stabilized. After a while, the young Qilin glanced at Ling Xiao, yawned and immediately fell into a deep sleep. What does this mean? Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment and mumbled to himself in confusion. However, seeing that the young Qilin's condition had stabilized, he didn't think too much about it and once again wrapped up his spirit herbs. Then he carried the young Qilin back into the cave. After Ling Xiao placed the young Qilin to the side, he looked at Yun Mengqi, who was receiving the inheritance. He noticed that her breathing was getting stronger and stronger. She had probably recovered to the peak of the Mystic Knight level. She looked even more holy and beautiful. I wonder if you'll be unfamiliar with me after you recover your strength. Ling Xiao sighed. He knew that this was a world that worshipped the strong. Being handsome didn't mean that you could pick up girls. As long as you had the ability, no matter how ugly you were, you could find a beautiful woman to be your wife. On the other hand, no matter how handsome you were, if you didn't have the ability, nobody would look up to you. This world was just that realistic. Ling Xiao shook his head and tossed aside his distracting thoughts. He sat down and activated the Guardian's 5 transformations technique to heal his injuries. The Guardian's 5 transformations technique had already entered the 3rd stage, organs refinement. His recovery speed was obviously many times faster than before. Not long later, all the small wounds on his body were healed. The broken arm was also gradually recovering. After another hour or so, the broken arm was completely healed. Ling Xiao couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This Guardian's 5 transformations technique was truly too heaven-defying. It was not inferior to the 3 parts origin qi. Ling Xiao glanced at the young Qilin and Yun Mingqi. Seeing that they wouldn't wake up for a while, he once again walked out of the cave. Looking at the small patch of Yin windgrass not far away, he muttered, I don't know where the Yin wind beast ran off to. I'll take this opportunity to pick these Yin windgrass first. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with a scorching light. His body flashed and he appeared in front of the Yin windgrass. Immediately after, Ling Xiao picked all the Yin windgrass without any anger. However, just as he picked a few dozen stalks, a mournful beast roar sounded out, scaring him into throwing the Yin windgrass on the ground and running away. However, he discovered that the beast's roar should be coming from the circular area in front of him. The Yin wind beast's roar is so pitiful. Could it be that it was also heavily injured? Ling Xiao stopped and thought doubtfully. After hesitating for a moment, he once again walked towards the circular area. It had to be said that Ling Xiao's curiosity was very strong, and he was also very bold. If it was someone else who knew of the Yin wind beast's existence, they would run as far as they could. However, he dared to go back and check the situation. Chapter 93. Ling Xiao held his breath and carefully returned to the place where the lunar wind beast was fighting with the young Qilin. However, he did not find the lunar wind beast. Could it be hiding? Ling Xiao was suspicious and vigilant. At this time, the lunar wind beast's roar came from the place where the Yin Qi was the heaviest. Sounded like it was in great pain. Is that the nest of the lunar wind beast? Ling Xiao tightened his grip on his sword and went forward again. Waves of Yin Qi blew on Ling Xiao's body and made him feel pain. Strands of Yin Qi were trying to invade his body. Ling Xiao quickly used the fire attribute to expel the Yin Qi from his body. His complexion became more and more serious. Every step he took was extremely difficult. The Yin Qi here was 10 times stronger than the outside. The deeper he went, the denser it was. Just when Ling Xiao was about to give up, he saw the lunar wind beast lying on the ground. Most of its body had been burnt, and the sinister white bones were extremely frightening. Above its head was a strange bead. This bead was only the size of a thumb and was dark gray in color. It spun in the air and emitted a very sticky evil wind. Like a black demonic cloud, it surged around it. It was as if one would be corroded to death if they came into contact with even a little bit of this black demonic cloud. Is this the beast core of the lunar wind beast? Can't be this small. Ling Xiao looked at the bead in front of him in confusion. Just when Ling Xiao was in a daze, the lunar wind beast suddenly looked at him. Obviously, it had discovered his existence. Then it dragged its injured body and crawled up. It roared at Ling Xiao. I've been discovered. Ling Xiao immediately retreated. Unexpectedly, the dark gray bead flashed, and a black, chilly wind swept toward him. Not good. Ling Xiao's face paled when he saw the snake-like black wind, and he ran away as fast as he could. Unfortunately, how could he be faster than the black Yin Qi? In the blink of an eye, he was bound by the black Yin wind. Damn it! What is this thing? Ling Xiao was horrified, and he used his fire force to disperse the wind. Unfortunately, the wind seemed to be solid, and it wasn't affected by his fire force at all. Instead, It pulled Ling Xiao back toward the dark gray bead. When the lunar wind beast saw that Ling Xiao had been captured, it immediately raised its huge palm and attacked Ling Xiao's head. "I'm dead." Ling Xiao looked at the incoming palm and closed his eyes, waiting for his death. Unexpectedly, the dark gray bead shot out a gust of black wind and bombarded the lunar wind beast. Boom! The sinister wind beast was blasted away by the black sinister wind. It was unknown whether it was dead or alive. What's going on? Ling Xiao couldn't figure out the situation. However, the worst situation had just begun. The dark gray bead emitted clouds of black qi that wrapped around Ling Xiao's entire body. Ling Xiao felt as if his entire body was being invaded by the qi. It felt as if his entire body was being corroded and his nervous system was gradually becoming numb and out of control. From a distance, he looked like a huge black cocoon. The small tree in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness seemed to realize something and began to tremble slightly. Lu Wang's expression became serious. Just where did this brat come from for the qi to be so dense? Forget it. If something happens to this brat again, I'll have to find another place to recover my vitality. This brat is truly too good at causing trouble. Lu Wang shook his head. He had already helped Ling Xiao twice. This time, he decided not to help him anymore. Otherwise, his vitality would be exhausted by this brat before he could recover. At this moment, the qi had already invaded Ling Xiao's limbs and organs. His meridians, blood, flesh, bones. All of them were dyed black by the evil wind. Once it corroded his heart or his sea of consciousness, Ling Xiao would definitely die. However, at this critical moment, the 3 parts origin returning qi began to display its miraculous power. It began to circulate on its own and directly devoured the qi. The qi was actually dissolved into Shen energy and was directly channeled into his dantian to strengthen the Shen energy there. The 3 parts origin returning qi became abnormally excited after obtaining the benefits. It once again increased its devouring speed. It was like a hungry wolf pouncing on its prey as it devoured the qi one by one. Ling Xiao's dantian grew larger and the Shen energy it emitted became denser and denser. Once it was saturated, the Shen energy was channeled from his dantian to his meridians. In an instant, a few more meridians were broken. The qi surged unceasingly into his body and the 3 parts origin returning qi was happily absorbing it. In just a short quarter of an hour, the original 60 over meridians in Ling Xiao's body had broken through 150 over meridians and it was still increasing. As long as the qi was not exhausted, it shouldn't be difficult to break through the second stage of the 3 parts origin returning qi, opening meridians. In 1 hour, Ling Xiao's meridians had already broken through 200 over meridians and was not far from 365 meridians. His aura had advanced from low-level to middle-leveled and it seemed to be getting stronger. The dantian in his body was 1/2 bigger than before and it looked even more condensed. The dark gray pearl on top of Ling Xiao's head seemed to be aware of the situation and retracted all the qi that it was emitting. All of a sudden, the black wind around Ling Xiao's body was sucked into the bead, and so were all the evil spirits around it. With the dark gray bead as the center, a giant whirlpool was formed. The evil spirits around it were like swallows flying back to the sky, rushing towards the bead. The sky above seemed to have suddenly changed color and it looked extremely spectacular and terrifying. Not long after, most of the qi was actually absorbed by the dark gray pearl. If there was someone on top of the chasm, they would definitely discover that the abyss that had always been shrouded by the qi gradually became peaceful and brighter. All the qi was heading towards the depths of the abyss. Ling Xiao, who was under the dark gray pearl, was not affected at all. He was using his strong, profound energy to truly break through to the middle level. After an unknown period of time, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes, only to find that his surroundings had become exceptionally bright. Those distant rocks and cliffs, the dust on the ground, the 3rd stage wind grass, everything was clear to him. Where was the wind baleful qi? What the hell is going on? Ling Xiao was confused. Could this be an illusion again? Just as he was puzzled, the dark gray pearl above his head directly fell towards his head. What is this? When Ling Xiao raised his head to look, the dark gray pearl directly entered his sea of consciousness through his forehead. After the dark gray pearl entered Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, it found a corner and calmly floated there without making any strange movements. However, the small tree at the side was shaking incessantly. Inside the small tree, Lu Weng stared at the dark gray pearl with his old eyes wide open. This is the innate Yin Wind Pearl. How could this brat obtain its approval? This is too inconceivable. Lu Weng muttered to himself with a face full of disbelief. He moved the small tree away from the dark gray pearl as much as possible, clearly extremely fearful of it. Ling Xiao stared blankly for a long time before using his hand to touch his forehead. However, he found nothing strange, and his body didn't feel anything wrong either. For a moment, he couldn't wrap his head around this. What the hell? Could it be that this was all an illusion? Ling Xiao shook his head, completely at a loss for what had just happened. Who cares? This is a blessing in disguise. I broke through to the middle level so quickly. Haha! Ling Xiao was a cheerful person and didn't think too much about things that he couldn't understand. Ling Xiao felt the surging energy in his body and was extremely excited. With his middle-level strength, he could probably fight a high-level mystic cultivator, and with his Shen techniques, he would definitely win. That's right, where is the lunar wind beast? Ling Xiao suddenly came to a realization and looked around, but didn't find any traces of the lunar wind beast. Seeing that the lunar wind beast wasn't found, Ling Xiao quickly ran back to the cave dwelling. Just as he passed by the circular area, he saw a deep hole in the cliff. Upon closer inspection, he found that the lunar wind beast was actually in the deep hole. Ling Xiao's expression changed, and just as he was about to run away with all his might, he couldn't sense the lunar wind beast's aura and couldn't help but stop. Could it be that the lunar wind beast is dead? Ling Xiao looked at the big hole and the huge body that was squeezed against the cliff, and couldn't help but wonder if the lunar wind beast was dead. Ling Xiao went closer to check, and sure enough, the lunar wind beast was dead. Not only was Ling Xiao unhappy, but he also became serious. Did the bead kill the lunar wind beast? Ling Xiao was enveloped by the black wind, and he only knew that the lunar wind beast was sent flying by the black wind, and that one blow had directly killed the injured lunar wind beast. From this, it could be seen how powerful the black wind was. The lunar wind beast was a 4th-level spirit beast, which was comparable to a human king stage expert, but it was killed by such a blow. It wasn't hard to imagine how magical the lunar wind bead was. Ling Xiao sensed the surroundings and didn't find anything wrong. So he walked towards the lunar wind beast and said, "This big guy's meat should have a lot of energy, but I don't know if I can eat it, right? Its beast core is mine." Ling Xiao waved his hand, and a wind blade cut towards the lunar wind beast's head. Swoosh! A black wind blade that contained a strong evil aura fiercely attacked the lunar wind beast. The lunar wind beast's body was instantly cut into pieces, and its flesh was directly corroded by the black wind. Only a beast core that was the size of 2 fists was left behind. What's going on? Ling Xiao stared blankly at what he had done, and he didn't understand how his wind blade could emit such a strong evil aura. Could it be that the 3 parts restoration chi absorbed the black wind, and so my wind attribute has the evil aura? Or is it because of the strange bead? Ling Xiao couldn't understand, and he couldn't help but think of these 2 reasons. After thinking for a while, Ling Xiao went forward and put away the beast core of the lunar wind beast. He grinned and said, "The evil aura of the innate evil aura is really cool. Even a high-level mystic cultivator would be corroded if they were hit by it. Haha." Chapter 94. Ling Xiao hadn't obtained any benefits inside the secret territory, but he had obtained innate Yin Wind Evil Chi outside the secret territory and had even broken through to the mid-level profound realm in a short period of time. This really made him feel very happy. Moreover, there was a large field of Yin Wind grass in front of him. The Yin Wind beast was dead, so these Yin Wind grass had become ownerless. If it wasn't his, then whose would it be? But there are at least 1,000 stalks of Yin Wind grass here. Even if I pick them all, I don't have a storage box. What a headache. Ling Xiao scratched his head, feeling distressed. With so many in windgrass, if he didn't have a storage box, it wouldn't take long for his spiritual chi to run out and their medicinal efficacy to disappear. At that time, there would be no use in picking them. The in windgrass could allow a wind-attributed martial artist to increase the purity of their wind attribute, and also give them the opportunity to condense the in wind evil chi. But now that Ling Xiao had the Xiantian in wind evil chi, these in windgrasses were not essential to him. But if he took these high-grade spirit grasses back to the auction house, he feared that they would fetch a sky-high price. This was an opportunity to make a fortune. What's more, Solitary Eagle also had some wind attribute spirit grass that he could absorb. If his comprehension ability was strong enough, condensing a bit of in wind evil chi would be enough for him to enjoy endless benefits. However, with so many in wind grass in front of him, even if Ling Xiao wanted to pick them all, he didn't know how to store them. Damn. If I had the legendary space ring, then I wouldn't have to worry so much, Ling Xiao cursed. Just as his thoughts turned, the ring in his hand flashed slightly. Suddenly, something seemed to appear in front of Ling Xiao's eyes. In his mind, there was an empty space of more than 10 square meters. There was a scroll, an ancient beast skin scroll, and a few small bottles floating in it. In another corner, there were some spirit herbs and beast cores. Ling Xiao's face was filled with shock, his eyes slowly moving to the ring he was wearing. His pupils shrank. He actually saw the same thing on the ring as in his mind. Ling Xiao used his consciousness to think of the scroll, and then the scroll immediately appeared in his hand. This is a space ring. Ling Xiao swallowed and said to himself. Then, holding the scroll in his hand, Yang Kai looked up to the sky and laughed. Haha, haha, my luck really isn't random, this is definitely an Earth Emperor rank space ring. I knew it, how could an Earth Emperor rank space ring be an ordinary ornament? Looks like even the in wind grass won't be able to escape. Ling Xiao once again used his spiritual sense to summon the space ring, and the scroll in his hand immediately returned to the space ring. He only felt that the space ring had a flesh and blood relationship with it, as if it was a part of his body. As long as he willed it, it would accept his will. As expected, it's convenient. No wonder the books say it's so miraculous. Just a dozen square meters is enough for me to store many things. In the future, I won't have to carry it on my back all the time. Since Meng Qi has obtained the inheritance, it's not a loss for me to obtain this spatial ring. Ling Xiao looked at his spatial ring with satisfaction. Putting away the in wind beast's beast core, he began to harvest the nearby in wind grass. It took Ling Xiao half an hour to harvest nearly 1,000 in wind grasses in the vicinity. Ha! I've struck it rich this time. Ling Xiao laughed with satisfaction and prepared to return to his immortal cave. Boom! In an instant, a series of explosions rang out, and the ground began to crack and shake. Not good, Meng Qi. Ling Xiao almost lost his footing when he suddenly thought of Yun Meng Qi in the immortal cave. He couldn't help crying out in alarm and rushing towards the immortal cave. However, before Ling Xiao could even get close, the entrance to the immortal cave had been completely sealed off by the falling boulders. The situation inside the immortal cave was unknown, and the only thing that could be seen was a cloud of dust. The shaking stopped and everything returned to normal. No, Meng Qi is still inside. Meng Qi, you can't have anything happen to you. Ling Xiao's expression became tense. His heart was abnormally uncomfortable, and his sword and saber slashed at the boulders in his hand. Boom boom. Those boulders were sent flying by Ling Xiao's saber and sword chi. It was a pity that there were too many falling boulders, and they were large and hard. Based on his strength as a middle-stage mystic cultivator, it was impossible for him to destroy all these boulders in a short period of time. Even so, he still used all his strength to attack with all his might. At this time, there was also an explosion sound from the collapsed immortal cave. Boom! It was even louder than what Ling Xiao had done. The boulders at the entrance of the immortal cave were blown away by the energy that came from inside. Ling Xiao was also pushed back a dozen steps by that powerful aura. After the entrance of the immortal cave was broken through, a ray of fire shot towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao waved his sword and saber and was about to meet it when he realized that it was the young Qilin that had turned into a small lion. The young Qilin immediately scuttled into Ling Xiao's arms. Ling Xiao hugged it and stroked its crimson fur. "Little guy, are you all right?" The young Qilin did not respond to Ling Xiao's words. Instead, it bared its sharp fangs and looked towards the entrance of the immortal cave. Its eyes were filled with hostility. At this time, Yun Mengqi walked out of the immortal cave. She was surrounded by a blue light that was as clear as water. A powerful aura caused the surroundings to feel extremely pressured. It was obvious that her strength had not only recovered, but had also improved. Her delicate face was even more perfect and pure, and her beautiful eyes rippled with an indescribable feeling. It was like a pool of quiet and serene water, clear and deep, making it even more difficult for people to see through her thoughts. Her snow-white skin was filled with a jade-like luster, and her entire person became even more beautiful and peerless. At this moment, Ling Xiao was completely stunned by Yun Mengqi's charm. "Damned bastard, you dare to break my inheritance. I'll kill you." Yun Mengqi looked at the young Qilin in Ling Xiao's arms, her beautiful eyes flashing with killing intent. The young Qilin in Ling Xiao's arms roared at Yun Mengqi, not the slightest bit afraid of her. How could a young Qilin that could fight against a high-level 4th-level lunar wind beast be afraid of a spirit master human? Crap! Ling Xiao's expression jumped. He knew that the young Qilin had definitely caused trouble. The inheritance had been broken. To Yun Mengqi, this was an inestimable loss. No wonder she was so angry. "Throw it over and let me kill it." Yun Mengqi's beautiful eyes stared at Ling Xiao as she spoke. Her voice was filled with indifference, as if she had completely changed from before. Mengqi, it was me who saved it. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I don't think it did it on purpose." Ling Xiao comforted Yun Mengqi. Could it be that you don't know that I'm in the middle of accepting the inheritance? Do you know how great my loss is? If I had more time, I would definitely have been able to take another step forward. Yun Mengqi looked at Ling Xiao angrily. How could Ling Xiao not know how important it was for people to break through to the martial tier? Not to mention that the higher the martial tier, the more difficult it was to break through. Sometimes it would take several years or even tens of years to break through. But now, Yun Mengqi had obtained the inheritance that everyone dreamed of. But in the end, it had been broken by the young Qilin. You couldn't blame Yun Mengqi for being so angry. But since things have come to this, I think we should just let it go. Look at how cute this thing is. Could it be that you have the heart to kill it? Ling Xiao exonerated the young Qilin. Yun Mengqi angrily glared at Ling Xiao. Coldly snorting, she turned around and once more returned to the cave. "AI, little fellow, you've caused a huge disaster. I'm afraid this young master's happiness will be ruined by your hands." Ling Xiao rubbed the young Qilin in his bosom. However, to be honest, even though Yun Mengqi's strength had increased by a lot, he didn't think that Yun Mengqi would be a match for this little fellow in his arms. This little fellow's strength was at least at the 3rd or 4th level, comparable to a human king stage expert. The young Qilin stared at Ling Xiao for a moment before closing its eyes and going back to sleep. It seemed to be especially confident in Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had no choice but to carry it back to the cave residence. Ling Xiao entered the cave and placed the young Qilin to the side. Then he saw Yun Mengqi was currently burying the skeleton that had already turned to blue ash on the ground. "Mengqi, I'm really sorry. I didn't think things would turn out like this." Ling Xiao very sincerely apologized. After burying the blue ash, Yun Mengqi respectfully bowed 3 times towards the burial ground before lightly replying, "I'm also in the wrong. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to live until now, let alone obtain senior's inheritance. I should be satisfied." Since Yun Mengqi had said this, Ling Xiao didn't continue to explain. However, he could feel that there was an invisible barrier between him and Yun Mengqi. He didn't dare to flirt with her like he did before. "Let's go. We should be able to find a way out. The Yin wind and baleful qi have all disappeared." Ling Xiao couldn't help but change the topic. At this time, Yun Mengqi turned around to face Ling Xiao. Her beautiful eyes stared unblinkingly at Ling Xiao. If we leave this place, our fate will end here. Ling Xiao felt a burst of pain in his heart. This woman was truly fickle. She had clearly fallen for him after he saved her. But now that she had recovered her strength, she became arrogant and disdainful of him. This made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He felt as if he had been cheated. All right. Ling Xiao acted as if he didn't care and spread out his hands. He had a forced smile on his face. Then let's go. If we really can't find a way out, we'll climb up from here. Yun Mengqi hadn't expected Ling Xiao to be so carefree. I see. Why don't you leave first? I want to stay here for a few more days. I feel like the scenery here isn't bad. Ling Xiao looked left and right, pretending to be enjoying the scenery. Anyone could see that this reason of his was extremely strong. Other than rock cliffs, there was only rock cliffs. How could there be any scenery here? Yun Mengqi's beautiful eyes flashed with a complicated light. She nodded and said, "All right, then I'll leave first." After speaking, Yun Mengqi really did start walking out of the cave. Looking at Yun Mengqi's alluring figure, Ling Xiao's face contorted as he clenched his fists. In his heart, he encouraged himself, "Yun Mengqi, one day you'll regret your choice." Just as Yun Mengqi reached the cave entrance, she stopped and said, "If you really like me, then use your actions to prove your ability. If one day you can surpass me, then maybe I'll really consider being with you." Chapter 95. With that, Yun Mengqi left the cave. Ling Xiao looked up at the departing Yun Mengqi and clenched his fists even tighter. Then, he heard Yun Mengqi's voice from afar. "I'll wait for you at the Purple Sky Sect." "The Purple Sky Sect? I'll go." Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with light as he confidently said to himself. After hearing Yun Mengqi's words, he knew that Yun Mengqi wasn't completely uninterested in him. Perhaps she had her own difficulties. After all, the difference in strength between them was too great. Even if she was willing to put down her pride and be with him, the power behind her would definitely not allow them to be together. On top of the cliff, Yun Mengqi looked back in the direction of the cave. Her beautiful eyes filled with reluctance as she muttered to herself, "Ling Xiao, I'm doing this for your own good. If one day you can really come to the Purple Sky Sect and obtain their approval, then we might be able to be together. Otherwise, this will only cause you to be killed. Goodbye. I hope you can come to the sect as soon as possible. I'll wait for you." With that, Yun Mengqi's figure spread out and she continuously leapt upwards. Every time she leapt, she would rise tens of meters in height. Moreover, her speed was extremely fast, as if the steep cliff didn't affect her at all. It could be seen that her current strength was no longer the same as before. Inside the cave, Ling Xiao found the 8 Millennium Luminous Pearls and placed them in his spatial ring. According to him, this secret realm had already been abandoned, and he wouldn't be coming back in the future. It would be a waste to leave them here, so it would be better to take them all. Outside the cave, Ling Xiao looked at the cliff that was thousands of meters high and became distressed. With his strength of a mid-stage profound disciple, how could he climb up? There were no hooks to climb up, and if he accidentally fell, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. Ling Xiao wandered around the vicinity, and after confirming that there was no other way out, he dejectedly returned to the cave entrance. What should I do? Do I really have to climb up? Sigh. Right at this moment, the young Qilin that was lying not far away woke up. It slowly crawled up, then discovered Ling Xiao and jumped towards Ling Xiao. "The little guy woke up so quickly?" Ling Xiao said as he rubbed the young Qilin's head. The young Qilin licked Ling Xiao's hand and then let out a low cry, as if it was sending some kind of message to Ling Xiao. "What's wrong with the little guy? Are you hungry?" Ling Xiao guessed. He didn't expect that the young Qilin could really understand human speech. It revealed a human-like expression and nodded lightly. It stuck out its tongue and panted lightly, as if it was really extremely hungry. "You little guy, you almost made me fall out of love, you know? You still have the nerve to ask me for food. I really admire you." Ling Xiao said to the cute little thing teasingly, and then opened up the dried meat wrapped at the side. "Eat, don't be picky. This is all I have." I don't have any more beast cores for you to eat, Ling Xiao said as he handed the meat to the young Qilin. This time, the young Qilin wasn't picky and directly bit down on the dried meat. In just a few bites, that large piece of dried meat was almost completely eaten. Ling Xiao only turned his head to look at his dried meat. The last bit had almost been swallowed by the young Qilin. Hey, leave some for me. This is the last bit of dried meat I have. Ling Xiao quickly reached out to grab the dried meat. Unfortunately, his movements were still too slow. The young Qilin opened its mouth and swallowed the last bit of dried meat. Damned bastard! Ling Xiao was filled with hatred and raised his hand to attack the young Qilin. But when he thought of the young Qilin's shocking combat strength, he couldn't help but pull back his hand. He bitterly said, "Aren't you going to starve me to death?" Sigh. The young Qilin ignored Ling Xiao and yawned before running out of the cave. Hey, where are you going? Ling Xiao called out to the young Qilin. But when he saw that the young Qilin ignored him, he said, "Forget it. Let this troublemaker go. I'll rest up and see if I can slowly climb up." Ling Xiao found a clean place and lay down to sleep. He planned to rest up and climb up himself. Otherwise, there was nothing else he could do. After sleeping for about an hour, Ling Xiao felt something wet on his face. He couldn't help but open his eyes. "You little guy, why are you back? Go play to the side and don't disturb my sleep," Ling Xiao said to the young Qilin in front of him. But the young Qilin continued to lick his face as it kept on making low cries. Ling Xiao covered his ears and turned his face to the side, ignoring it. The young Qilin had no choice but to bite at Ling Xiao's pants and pull. "Little guy, what the hell are you doing?" Ling Xiao said impatiently as he sat up. Following that, he saw that in front of him was an enormous rank 3 flaming tiger. This flaming tiger was already dead, and fresh blood was still flowing from its neck. It was obvious that it had just died. "This? You got this?" Ling Xiao asked the young Qilin in surprise. The young Qilin nodded and pulled at Ling Xiao's pants again. It was obvious that it wanted Ling Xiao to eat this flaming tiger. "At least you know what's good for you, little guy." Ling Xiao rubbed his hands together and walked in front of the flaming tiger. With the blue crystal sword in hand, he immediately began to dissect the flaming tiger. This flaming tiger had a lot of good stuff. The most precious was, of course, the beast core, the tiger's skin, the tiger's tendons, the tiger's penis. When Ling Xiao divided out the usable materials, he realized that the beast core had disappeared. He immediately looked at the young Qilin and saw that its entire body was emitting a strong fiery essence qi. It seemed to be much more energetic than before. Ling Xiao cursed in his heart. "If I knew this would happen, I would have kept the beast core. What a prodigal." After eating the roasted tiger meat, Ling Xiao absorbed the dissolved Shen energy. This feeling was really great. "Little guy, seeing that you're so filial to me, I'll give you a name. From now on, I'll call you Prodigal," Ling Xiao said as he rubbed the young Qilin's head. He paused for a moment, then said, "Prodigal, quickly bring me to see how you caught this flaming tiger." Ling Xiao had checked and there were no spirit beasts nearby. He really couldn't understand how the young Qilin could catch this flaming tiger. He thought that he might be able to find a way out. The young Qilin trembled as it walked out of the cave. Then it turned back to look at Ling Xiao. It was obvious that it was leading the way. "Wait, there's still a lot of meat here. We can't waste it." Ling Xiao kept the rest of the flaming tiger's meat before following the young Qilin out of the cave. Then, he saw the young Qilin return to its 1.5-meter size. Its entire body was emitting a strong fiery aura. It looked majestic and cool. "Prodigal, I know you're very handsome and cool, but I want you to tell me where you caught this flaming tiger," Ling Xiao said. At this moment, the young Qilin actually flew into the air and headed towards the cliff. This, Ling Xiao couldn't wrap his head around it. He didn't expect the young Qilin to have the ability to fly. This was too miraculous. Hey, Prodigal, quickly come down and bring me up. I can't fly." Ling Xiao hurriedly shouted upwards. He was extremely excited. He could finally leave this place where even birds wouldn't shit. The young Qilin descended once again with a very pleased expression. It was obvious that it was very pleased that Ling Xiao had a request for it. Without another word, Ling Xiao directly jumped onto the young Qilin's back and shouted, "Prodigal, quickly bring me up. It's really worth it for me to risk my life to save you." The young Qilin didn't seem to have any difficulty carrying Ling Xiao. With a single step, it directly flew upwards. Ling Xiao, who was sitting on the young Qilin's back, felt a burst of joy. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. "I'm finally out. I'm finally out." It was no wonder that he was so happy. There were a few dangerous situations and he almost died here. If it was anyone else like him, they would probably be even more excited. The first thought that came to Ling Xiao's mind was to find the Golden Wolf King. This was the first spirit beast that he had subdued. He definitely couldn't let anything happen to it. He had to nurture it well. However, before that, he still had to wander around the cliffs to see if there was any possibility of finding the spirit grass. Ling Xiao didn't think that he would be delayed in order to find the spirit grass. When he saw the Golden Wolf King again, it almost died. This made him furious, and a great battle was about to break out. Ever since Ling Xiao fell into the abyss, the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flame Wolf had been walking around the cliff. Every day and night, there would be a period of time where they would mourn towards the bottom of the abyss. The Golden Wolf King knew that its master wasn't dead, or else it wouldn't be alive. It was subdued by Ling Xiao, and the beast core had a drop of Ling Xiao's blood essence. Its loyalty to Ling Xiao was absolute, so it waited for its master to appear every day. The Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flame Wolf, one at the upper stage of the second level and the other at the middle stage of the second level, were considered very powerful existences in the outskirts of the mountain range. However, ever since the Mystic Illusion Valley's fog dispersed, the boundary between the outskirts and the inner periphery became no longer mysterious. Many mercenaries and adventurers could come here to search for spirit grass and kill spirit beasts. Furthermore, no one knew who spread the news that there was a mystic realm's existence in this area between the two worlds. For a moment, the big and small forces in the city all wanted to try their luck, to see if they could find the existence of the mystic realm. Hence, the boundary between the two worlds became bustling. Apart from those mercenaries and adventurers, the three great families in the city also sent people out to search for the mystic realm. The other small families also didn't want to miss this golden opportunity, so they also joined the ranks of the search. Just a few days ago, they saw a huge change under the chasm between the two worlds. The Yin wind and baleful qi completely dissipated for a moment. This was another shocking change after the disappearance of the Mystic Illusion Valley. Hence, everyone was even more certain that there must be a mystic realm nearby. Everyone exerted themselves and started to carry out a carpet search in the vicinity. However, the nearby spirit beasts were mostly rank 2 and above. There were even quite a number of rank 2 spirit beasts, and there were also herds of spirit beasts. If the human warriors searched like this, it would be difficult for a rabbit to fight with the spirit beasts. Hence, a large number of human warriors with insufficient strength died under the claws of the spirit beasts, and many spirit beasts became materials for the human warriors to fight over. As a result, the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flame Wolf were inevitably discovered by the human warriors. Some of the weaker mercenaries and adventurers died under the claws of the two spirit beasts. However, these two spirit beasts also attracted the attention of others because of this. Firstly, the Li and Lan families wanted to make a move on these two spirit beasts. Chapter 96. Ever since Ling Xiao killed the daughter of the Li family, Li Qingqing, and the young master of the Lan family, Lan Guangxing, the head of the Lan family expressed goodwill towards the Li family. The two families formed an alliance, and the Lan family followed the Li family's lead. This time, the leaders of the two families were Li Qingqing's father, Li Yuanlong, and Lan Guangxing's father, Lan Dingshan. Of the two of them, one had lost his daughter, and the other had lost his son. They took the opportunity of finding the secret realm to relax and find trouble with Ling Xiao. This was because the news of Ling Xiao's appearance in the mountain range had reached the ears of the Li family and the Lan family. Their goal this time, other than finding the secret realm, was to kill Ling Xiao in the mountain range and take revenge for their daughter. However, the two families did not find the secret realm or Lingxiao. Instead, they encountered two wolf spirit beasts at the edge of the cliff. Thus, they planned to surround and kill the two spirit beasts so that they would not return empty-handed. This time, the Li family sent out 20 experts. Each of them was a deacon of the Li family, and they all had the cultivation of low to high-level mystic cultivators. The Lan family had fewer people, but they still had 8 mystic cultivators and 5 high-level Shen cultivators. The two families had a total of 33 people, and they were the largest group in this mission. At this time, Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan gathered together. The two of them had the strength of peak mystic cultivators, and as long as they had the opportunity, they would have the chance to step into the ranks of spirit masters. Brother Li, how about we go kill those two spirit beasts together? Lan Dingshan asked Li Yuanlong. I know Brother Lan is itching, but before we find the secret realm, we should preserve our strength. After all, the Ling family and Luo family have sent out many people. Li Yuanxing disagreed. Brother Li has thought it through. Then let me go. Lan Dingshan nodded in understanding. That gold-winged wolf belongs to our Li family, Li Yuanlong said to Lan Dingshan. Lan Dingshan didn't mind. He nodded and said, Of course, we'll take that cyan flame wolf. The people from the Li and Lan clans arrived near the two spirit wolves and surrounded them. Immediately after, Li Yuanlong sent out 2 mystic cultivators, one with advanced cultivation and one with intermediate cultivation. Lan Dingshan also sent out 2 mystic cultivators, both with intermediate cultivation. Li Yuanlong said, Li Ming, Li Jun, you two work together to kill this golden-winged wolf as soon as possible. If you let it escape, I'll deduct half a year of your salary. 2 mystic cultivators from the Li family stepped out and responded to Li Yuanlong, Yes. On the other side, Lan Dingshan also said to his family's mystic cultivators, Did you hear that? You can't weaken our Lan family's momentum. Yes. The 2 mystic cultivators of the Lan family raised their heads and answered. Following that, the 4 of them dashed toward the 2 spiritual wolves. The movements of the Li and Lan families attracted the attention of all the mercenaries and adventurers. Look, the Li and Lan families are going to attack those 2 spirit wolves. What's so surprising about that? With the strength of the 2 families, these 2 spirit wolves should be easy to capture. That's true. It's just that these 2 spirit wolves are really special. Now that there's such a big commotion nearby, they still dare to appear here. Aren't they courting death? Spirit beasts don't have thoughts. What do they know? For a moment, the surrounding mercenaries and adventurers were all discussing. In another place that belonged to the Ling family's camp, the leader of the Ling family was a middle-aged man who had never appeared before, but he looked somewhat similar to Ling Zhao's father, Ling Zhan. If Ling Xiao was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that this was the commander of the Ling family's 24 tiger guards, Ling Yuan. At the same time, he also had another identity, which was Ling Zhao's uncle. This time, Ling Yuan had been ordered to bring 24 tiger guards to search for the secret realm, which showed how much importance they attached to it. One had to know that the 24 tiger guards were famous in Meteorite City. Only those who had reached the mystic level and were absolutely loyal to the Ling family were qualified to be tiger guards. As the commander of the 24 tiger guards, Ling Yuan's ability was self-evident. He still had 5 tiger generals with strong abilities under him. They were Hu De, Hu Er, Hu San, Hu Si, and Hu Wu. These 5 people had the ability of a high-level mystic cultivator. The rest of the tiger guards had the cultivation of a low-level mystic cultivator to a mid-level mystic cultivator. Ling Yuan looked at the Li and Lan families not far away and squinted his tiger eyes, saying to himself, Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan have come together. It seems that they really think highly of my Xiao. However, I'm afraid it won't be that easy to take my Ling family's son's life. On the other side, the Luo family had also sent out many experts. There were no less than 20 mystic cultivators, only slightly weaker than the Ling and Li families. In the Luo family's territory, there was actually a young girl wearing a scarf and red satin. She was gorgeously dressed and dazzling. At this moment, she looked at the movements of the Li and Lan families, and her beautiful eyes revealed a strong sense of worry. Next to her stood an old man with a hunched back. The old man held a cane in his hand and wore a cloak on his head, so it was impossible to see his appearance clearly. "My good daughter, you've come all the way here for Grandma. You really want Grandma's old life," the old man wearing the cloak said to the girl in red next to him. From her voice, it seemed that she was an old woman. The girl shook the old woman's hand and said coquettishly, "Grandma, your body is very strong. You can live for at least 1,000 years. The old woman smiled and said, "Silly girl, if Grandma can live for a few more years, I'll be satisfied. At that time, I can also see my great-grandson born." "Grandma," the girl said shyly. It was obvious that the girl was extremely shy when it came to the matter of having children. "Did Grandma say something wrong? Didn't you bring Grandma out for your lover?" The old woman said faintly. "Who said I have a lover? I just wanted to see the spirit beasts in the mountains and gain some knowledge for my future training." The girl immediately denied. That's good. If the Li and Lan families find your lover, don't blame Grandma for not helping you," the old woman teased. "Grandma, I'm ignoring you," the girl shouted, stomped her feet, and jogged a few steps forward to watch the Li and Lan families kill the spirit beasts. There were a total of 4 mystic cultivators from the Li and Lan families. With weapons in hand, they attacked the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flame Wolf. One of the mystic cultivators from the Li family was of the metal attribute, and the other was of the fire attribute. The two of them used powerful mystic techniques to attack the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King bared its fangs and spat out a golden light towards the high-ranking mystic cultivator. "Die obediently, beast!" The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator shouted and waved a second-tier mid-tier saber at the golden light that the Golden Wolf King was spewing. Boom! The two golden lights collided and dissipated. The high-ranking mystic cultivator from the Li family took the opportunity to shoot a fire snake towards the stomach of the Golden Wolf King. Fire countered metal. The Golden Wolf King didn't dare to take it head-on and used its agility to dodge. It opened its bloody mouth and bit towards the mid-ranking mystic cultivator. So fast. The mid-ranking mystic cultivator was shocked and quickly shot out a few more fire rays towards the Golden Wolf King. The high-ranking mystic cultivator from the Li family gathered all his strength. Rays of golden light shone on his heavy sword. After he finished gathering his strength, a seemingly solid golden sword ray slashed towards the back of the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King reacted quickly and gave up on the mid-ranking mystic cultivator. It spat out a few golden lights to block the golden sword ray. However, the high-ranking mystic cultivator seemed to be very strong. The golden sword ray was not damaged at all and continued to slash towards the Golden Wind Wolf. The Golden Wind Wolf wanted to dodge, but the mid-ranking mystic cultivator shot out a dozen more fire rays to block its escape route. The mid-ranking mystic cultivator used this move and drained all his Shen energy. His goal was to let his partner kill the Golden Wolf King in one move. As expected, under the cooperation of the two, the Golden Wolf King was hit by the golden sword ray and was sent flying for a dozen meters. A deep wound appeared on its abdomen. The physical body of a spirit beast is really tough. It's actually able to survive my attack. Lian, hurry up and consume the medicinal pill. We'll attack again. The high-level profound practitioner spoke, and once again charged towards the Golden Wolf King that was crawling to its feet. On the other side, the Green Fire Wolf was being attacked by 2 mid-ranking mystic cultivators from the Lan family. Because the 2 mystic cultivators from the Lan family were water element martial artists, they just happened to restrain the fire element of the Green Fire Wolf. It didn't have any advantage in elemental attacks. After only resisting for a while, the Green Fire Wolf had a few more wounds on its body. Blood flowed everywhere and it looked very pitiful. However, it still bared its ferocious gaze and fangs, ready to fight to the death. The Green Fire Wolf was attacked by 2 mid-ranking mystic cultivators from the Lan family. Its elemental attacks were also restrained. There were many wounds on its body and its attack power dropped by a few times. Haha! Let's see how long you can resist. one of the mid-ranking mystic cultivators from the Lan family, was addicted to killing. He laughed wildly and shot out a few blue rays towards the stomach of the green fire wolf. The green fire wolf's reaction was already slow. However, its eyes were filled with ferocity. It looked at the golden wolf king, who was also forced into a difficult situation, and let out a howl. Chapter 97. Howl. The blue flame wolf was stabbed a few times by the Lan family's mid-level mystic cultivator, and after flying a dozen meters, it fell into a pool of blood. It died so quickly. How boring! The mid-level mystic cultivator didn't seem satisfied and walked towards the blue flame wolf, intending to carry the wolf's corpse back. Just as the mid-level mystic cultivator came to the side of the blue flame wolf, the fallen blue flame wolf suddenly opened its eyes and jumped up, opening its bloody mouth and biting towards the mid-level mystic cultivator. The mid-level mystic cultivator didn't expect the blue flame wolf to still be alive and couldn't react in time, so his head was bitten off. The girl in red, who was watching from afar, turned pale with fright and couldn't help but close her beautiful eyes. The old woman wearing a cape came behind her and said, "The law of survival is the survival of the fittest, but don't be careless when you're stronger than others. A little carelessness will still lead to a tragic end." The girl in red looked at the fight again, and her beautiful eyes flashed with understanding. She nodded and said, "I understand, Grandma. I will be careful in the future." After the blue flame wolf bit off the Lan family's mid-level mystic cultivator's head, the other mid-level mystic cultivator roared and slashed at the blue flame wolf's head with his long sword. The sword fell and hit the blue flame wolf's neck. A stream of bright red blood splattered out, and the body fell onto the grass again, unable to get up. The golden wolf king had already sensed that the blue flame wolf was killed and immediately howled towards the sky. Its golden needle-like fur emitted a strong light, and its fangs revealed a bloodthirsty savagery. At this moment, it returned to its true nature as a wolf king, and a strong bestial nature was emitted. Before the Li family's high-level mystic cultivator's sword slashed down, it pounced towards the slightly weaker mid-level mystic cultivator. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and in an instant, it arrived in front of the mid-level mystic cultivator. "Li Jun, be careful," the high-level mystic cultivator warned. Li Jun had just used his full strength to block the golden wolf king's path, and used up 80% of his Xian energy. Although he had taken a medicinal pill, his absorption speed wasn't that fast, and his reaction speed had decreased. With his companion's warning, he continuously waved his hands and attacked the golden wolf king. However, the golden wolf king was determined to kill one person first. It displayed its wind element to the extreme and dodged the attacks one after another. Its pair of giant claws clawed at Li Jun. Li Jun dodged extremely quickly, but his arm was still scratched by the golden wolf king's huge claw. He immediately let out a heart-wrenching scream. Half of his bloody arm was gone, revealing the deep white bone inside. "Damned beast!" The high-level mystic cultivator of the Li family chased after him and slashed at the wolf king repeatedly. Immediately, the man and the wolf started fighting. Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan, who were watching from the side, had ugly expressions on their faces. They had underestimated the two spirit wolves. Li Shenglong once again ordered, "Li Tianbao, go and help Li Ming kill this golden wind wolf. Li Jun, return." The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator nodded, and moved towards the wolf king of the mystic cultivator. The mystic cultivator from the Li family, who had a crippled arm, took a few pills and dragged his crippled arm back to the camp. Immediately, a few people from the Li family helped him to treat his wounds. Another fire elemental high-level mystic cultivator from the Li family joined the battle against the golden wolf king. Even though the golden wolf king was able to dodge many attacks by relying on its wind attribute, it was still forced into a difficult situation by the combined attacks of the two martial artists. In particular, the martial artist with the fire attribute almost restrained the golden wolf king's metal attribute, greatly weakening its attack power and even burning its golden fur. The golden wolf king howled twice and prepared to flee in a certain direction. The golden wolf king was a mutated three-eyed wind wolf. It could already condense a beast core at the upper tier of the second tier. It had already developed intelligence and knew what fear was. It knew that the other party wanted to kill it. If it didn't escape now, only death awaited it. Not far away, Li Yuanlong seemed to have sensed that the Golden Wolf King was about to flee, so he said with a gloomy face, "Shrink the encirclement and kill this beast together." Hearing Li Yuanlong's command, the mystic warriors of the Li family gathered together, wanting to kill the Golden Wolf King together. The Golden Wolf King's escape routes were all sealed off. Beams of colorful energy blasted in all directions. Boom! Deep pits appeared on the ground from the bombardment of these profound energies, and many trees were smashed into powder by the blade shadows and sword beams. Fortunately, the Golden Wolf King had the wind attribute and its reaction speed was extremely fast. It managed to dodge the attacks several times. However, there were still a few strands of profound energy that struck its body, causing it to scream miserably. Ling Yuan, who was not far away, watched the battle and muttered to himself, "This wind wolf's reaction is really agile. Under such a tight attack, it can still dodge more than half of the attacks. In the future, when it grows into a third-rank spirit beast, it will definitely be a terrifying existence." However, Ling Yuan still underestimated the Golden Wolf King's true ability. Even Li Yuanlong was the same. They thought that they had more people to win, and seeing that the Golden Wolf King was only at the end of its strength, everyone relaxed their vigilance. After the Golden Wolf King suffered a few slashes, more and more wounds appeared on its body, and more blood flowed out. It decided to escape the encirclement even if it had to, because it seemed to sense that its master's aura was getting stronger and stronger. As long as its master came, he would definitely be able to save it. It was very determined in its heart. The Golden Wolf King stopped and looked in the direction where the 5 people were surrounding it. The fur on its forehead slowly split open, and the third eye appeared. A strange golden light shot out from its third eye at an extremely fast speed. The 5 Li family mystic cultivators in front of it did not even know what was going on before they were hit. The golden light emitted a strange aura, and it directly affected the 5 people's fighting spirit. For a moment, they were all stunned, and their eyes became dull, not knowing what was going on. The Golden Wolf King saw the opportunity and used the last of its strength to charge towards the 5 people. Everyone saw this strange phenomenon. Li Yuanlong's mind shook, and he could not help but shout, "Quickly get rid of it! If they lost these 5 Mystic Realm deacons, they would definitely be punished when they returned." The Mystic Realm was the core strength of every family, and it was not easy to nurture a Mystic Realm. Lan Dingshan also shouted, "Everyone, surround and kill the Golden Wind Wolf." The Lan family was led by the Li family, so they naturally had to show their sincerity. Although they were not needed now, it was necessary to put on an act. The Golden Wolf King seized the opportunity and instantly appeared in front of the 5 mystic cultivators who had no fighting strength. The Golden Wolf King clawed left and right with its claws, and 2 big heads were instantly crushed. Just as the Golden Wolf King was about to kill the other 3 mystic cultivators, beams of light had already shot over. The Golden Wolf King could not escape in time, and its back and abdomen were repeatedly hit by the mystic cultivators of the Li family. Its body was sent flying dozens of meters away, and a few trees were broken by the Golden Wolf King's huge body. Howl! A sorrowful howl resounded throughout the entire valley. Is this wind wolf finally going to be killed? That beam of light shot out from the third eye was really terrifying. It could actually make 5 mystic cultivators lose their fighting strength. This is definitely a mutated wind wolf. Some time ago, a wolf king was born in Wolffang Valley. Could it be this one? The Li family lost 2 mystic cultivators and 1 crippled. In order to catch this wind wolf, they must have paid a high price. No one expected this wind wolf to be so terrifying, but it's finally over. The mercenaries and adventurers who were watching from afar were still discussing with lingering fear. At the Ling family's campsite, Ling Yuan was also shocked. It's actually a mutated 3-eyed wind wolf. How terrifying. But this is also good. It's time for the Li family to shed some blood, lest they don't know what's good for them. Another red-clothed girl heard the Golden Wolf King's sorrowful howl, and her heart was stirred with sympathy. She couldn't help but say to the old granny beside her, "Granny, this golden wind wolf is so pitiful. What's there to be pitiful about? They originally evolved from wild beasts, and their wild nature is hard to tame. If you wander in the mountains alone, I'm afraid you'll be eaten by spirit beasts in less than 2 hours. Will those spirit beasts sympathize with you?" The old granny reprimanded the red-clothed girl. The red-clothed girl still looked at the golden wind wolf with sympathy in her eyes, but she also knew that what her granny said was the truth. At this moment, in the deep chasm, a bare-chested youth was riding a scarlet young Qilin and playing in the valley. Wasn't this youth Ling Xiao? Ever since he sat on the young Qilin, he didn't immediately head up the cliff. Instead, he let the young Qilin fly between the cliffs. On one hand, he wanted to enjoy the feeling of flight that the young Qilin gave him, and on the other hand, he wanted to find some rare spirit beasts that lived on the cliffs. After a few days of wandering, Ling Xiao had indeed picked 5 low-tier second-grade spirit herbs, 3 mid-tier second-grade spirit herbs, and 1 high-tier spirit herb. This income could be said to be no less than what he had earned in the mountain range, and this made Ling Xiao extremely happy. After Ling Xiao had picked a low-tier second-grade spirit herb, he wanted to continue searching. However, his mind suddenly had a bad premonition, and he seemed to hear the Golden Wolf King's cry for help. These days, he had fallen into the chasm, and because he was too far away, he had lost contact with the Golden Wolf King. Now that he was out, he immediately sensed the Golden Wolf King's presence. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed, and he immediately yelled, "Wastrel, fly up at full speed." The young Qilin listened to Ling Xiao's words, and after hearing Ling Xiao's instructions, it quickly flew up. "Xiao Jin, hold on. I'm back to save you." Ling Xiao sent a message to the Golden Wolf King in his mind. At this moment, Ling Xiao's brows were already furrowed. He definitely didn't want anything to happen to the Golden Wolf King. On top of the cliff, Li Yuanlong wanted to personally end this damned Golden Wind Wolf, or else he wouldn't be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. "Damned beast. Today I'll let you have a taste of being cut into pieces." Li Yuanlong held the glittering dagger in his hand as he arrived in front of the dying Golden Wolf King and said viciously. Even though they had lost 3 mystic cultivators, 2 mystic cultivators had died and 1 was crippled for a wind wolf. His heart was bleeding, and he was filled with hatred. Why did they have to provoke these 2 wind wolves? Even if they killed this wind wolf, it wouldn't make up for their losses. Chapter 98. With that, the dagger stabbed towards the golden wolf's abdomen like a bloodthirsty fang. Awoo! The Golden Wolf King's body was pierced by the dagger, and it once again let out a shocking cry. It wanted to struggle and escape, but its body was already weak and covered in wounds. It was only able to last until now because of its powerful body. Li Yuanlong pulled the dagger out, and blood sprayed out like a fountain. "Ha ha! Damned beast! This is your fate for daring to kill members of my Li family." Li Yuanlong laughed heartily as he looked at the struggling Golden Wolf King. His words seemed to be warning everyone that if anyone dared to kill members of his Li family, their fate would definitely be the same as this golden wolf, a horrible death. Li Yuanlong seemed to have gone mad. The dagger in his hand stabbed the Golden Wolf King's huge body 5 or 6 times in a row. Pillars of blood gushed out and beast meat flew everywhere. It made the surrounding people want to vomit. Nearby, the girl in red was so frightened that her face turned pale. "Granny, let's go back. This is too cruel. What's there to be afraid of? It's just killing a spiritual beast. Only that brat from the Li family would think that his actions would serve as a warning." "How senseless," the granny said harshly. The girl in red didn't dare to go against her grandmother's words and continued to watch Li Yuanlong's cruel methods. The golden wolf had been stabbed more than 10 times, and it had lost quite a few pieces of flesh. A large pool of blood flowed out, dyeing the surrounding grass red. "All right, it's time to send you on your way." Li Yuanlong seemed to have finished venting and muttered to the dying golden wolf. He once again raised the dagger and stabbed towards the wolf's neck. The sharp edge of the dagger sparkled, and it looked like it was about to stab into the golden wolf's neck. "Stop! Otherwise, I'll slaughter your entire family." A shocking roar rang out. A figure darted through the crowd at the same time. Everyone only felt a gust of wind blow past them, and they couldn't see who it was. Li Yuanlong stopped and turned around, shouting, "Who dares to spout such nonsense? Get out here." He had used cruel methods to torture the spiritual beast to let others know that the Li family was not to be trifled with. The spiritual beast was still alive, but someone had already dared to provoke them. This was clearly a slap to the Li family's face. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure appeared in front of the Golden Wolf King. "Xiao Jin, hold on. Master hasn't given you permission to die yet, so you're not allowed to die." This person was precisely Ling Xiao. He was half-squatting in front of the Golden Wolf King. Seeing it in such a miserable state made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Although the Golden Wolf King was only his slave beast, Ling Xiao would never allow anyone else to trample on or humiliate anything that belonged to him. Moreover, he was very satisfied with the Golden Wolf King from the beginning. It was the first spirit beast he had personally landed, and it had been tortured to such a state by someone else. His heart was burning with a raging fire. However, it was more important to save the Golden Wolf King. Without saying a word, he immediately took out the muscle growth grass that he had just obtained from the cliff. Muscle rejuvenation grass was a mid-tier tier 2 spirit herb. Because it was a wood attribute spirit herb, it had the same effect as the aqua blue flower. However, the effect was much weaker than the aqua blue flower. It was the main ingredient in refining the tier 2 pill, the muscle rejuvenation pill. Ling Xiao ignored everyone's presence and stuffed the muscle growth grass into the Golden Wolf King's mouth. The Golden Wolf King looked at Ling Xiao with lifeless eyes and said, Master, if you don't come, Xiao Jin will die." "Bullshit, hurry up and eat this spirit grass for me." Ling Xiao scolded and took out a low tier 2 spirit grass, Blood Star Vine. The Blood Star Vine was a low tier 2 spirit herb. It was classified as a non-elemental spirit herb and had the effect of replenishing blood and nourishing energy. It was something that Ling Xiao and Solitary Eagle had obtained by chance in the mountain range. Ling Xiao appeared with 2 grade 2 spirit herbs in his hands. Everyone around him saw it clearly. Everyone was wondering who this arrogant kid was. How dare he insult a member of the Li family? How dare he insult a member of the Li family? Look, who is this youth? He has a mid-tier tier 2 muscle growth grass and a low-tier tier 2 blood star vine in his hands. He actually fed them to that spirit beast. Doesn't he know that these 2 spirit herbs are worth more than 10,000 gold coins? What a waste. Perhaps this youth is a savage. Look at his naked body, and he's filthy to the extreme. Have you ever seen a savage holding a sword? He's really stupid. Ling Yuan and the red-clothed girl, who were standing nearby, felt that this youth who had appeared was unusually familiar. His voice was also extremely familiar, but they couldn't be sure when they saw his filthy and messy background. "Stinking brat, you dare to ignore my Li family? I'll kill you." Li Yuanlong, who was standing to the side, seemed to have suffered an unprecedented humiliation. He hadn't expected that this savage brat in front of him would actually ignore his existence. He cursed and ruthlessly stabbed the dagger in his hand towards Ling Xiao's back. He used 50% of his strength in this strike. Even if it was a low-tier or mid-tier mystic cultivator, they would still fall under this strike. Nonsense. Ling Xiao's tiger-like eyes flashed, and with a loud shout, he flipped over and flew up, overturning clouds and rain, the third form of the cloud-expelling palm. Ling Xiao blocked Li Yuanlong's sword with one hand, and his palms turned into countless palm shadows that continuously bombarded towards Li Yuanlong's chest. His speed was extremely fast, and every palm was suffused with a fiery aura. The fiery palms flew, and each palm contained a fierce attack from Ling Xiao. Li Yuanlong was caught off guard, and in an instant, he took a dozen of Ling Xiao's palms. With a blood-curdling scream, his entire body flew backwards. Sir! The mystic cultivators of the Li family cried out in alarm and immediately swarmed towards Ling Xiao. In the Ling family's camp not far away, Hu Lu and Hu Qi, who were behind Ling Yuan, saw Ling Xiao's face clearly and immediately exclaimed, "Commander, Commander, it's young Master Ling Xiao." What? Ling Yuan's expression changed, and he immediately shouted, "Tiger guards, listen up! Follow me to protect Ling Xiao." As soon as he finished speaking, he instantly turned into a golden rainbow and flew towards Ling Xiao's direction. That speed actually exceeded the scope of an ordinary high-level mystic cultivator, and seemed to be even faster than a peak mystic cultivator. The other 24 tiger guards did not hesitate at all, and instantly ignited their shocking auras, and rushed over with Ling Yuan. Not far away, the girl in red saw Ling Xiao's appearance clearly, and her delicate body trembled slightly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anxiety as she said, "Grandma! Quick, quick, save him. Why do you want to save him? Could it be that this kid is your lover?" The old granny didn't seem to be anxious at all, and instead asked jokingly, "Grandma, if you don't want to go, then I'll go." The girl in red stomped her feet and wanted to rush forward. Who knew that the old granny would grab her delicate hand and say, "So many people from the Ling family are going over. Why are you still going over to join in the fun? That kid should be fine." At this time, the girl in red saw that the Ling family's camp had actually all moved out, and her heart finally calmed down a little. "Grandma, I want to go over and take a look." The girl in red looked ahead, still wanting to go over and see Ling Xiao's situation. "All right, little girl, you've really been bewitched by him. Let me see what's so great about my future grandson-in-law, to actually be able to make my granddaughter so infatuated with him." After the old granny said this, Baiyan's figure swayed slightly, and she pulled the girl in red and actually appeared near the Li family's camp. This speed was simply several times faster than Ling Yuan's. If someone noticed this, they would probably be so shocked that their jaws would drop. This old granny was definitely an expert of the spirit master level. Ling Xiao held his saber and sword horizontally, and looked coldly at the Li family mystic cultivators that surrounded him. His entire body was surrounded by a ball of golden light, and it was as dazzling as the sun. His ink-black hair flowed like a waterfall, and his aura rose steadily. "Master, little flame is dead." The Golden Wolf King weakly transmitted a message to Ling Xiao. After it consumed 2 level 2 spirit herbs from Ling Xiao, all the wounds on its body gradually healed, and its condition was considered stable. When Ling Xiao was here, he couldn't detect any traces of the blue flame wolf, and he had long sensed it. "I know. Someone will die with it." Ling Xiao nodded, and a strong killing intent flashed through his tiger eyes. He didn't think that he would encounter such a troublesome matter as soon as he escaped. Luckily, his strength had greatly increased, or else he really wouldn't dare to be so arrogant in front of so many mystic cultivators. Li Yuanlong, who had been sent flying by Ling Xiao, bounced up from the ground and wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. His face felt hot. He was a direct descendant of the Li family, a genius that could possibly ascend to the position of Li family patriarch in the future. Now that he was sent flying by a brat of unknown origin, he really lost too much face. He decided to tear this brat into 1,000 pieces. "Sir, he is the Ling family's Ling Xiao." Li Jun, who had lost an arm, looked at Ling Xiao and said to Li Yuanlong in astonishment, "He is Ling Xiao." Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan said in shock at the same time, "He is the Ling family's young master Ling Xiao? His aura is so strong. Didn't they say that he was only an intermediate mystic cultivator a while ago? I'm afraid he's already at the mystic realm. Just now, every palm of his contained an elemental attack. Isn't that so? From the looks of it, he should be training hard in the mountains." A 17 or 18-year-old mystic cultivator is considered a first-class genius in the city. I heard that he broke through to the mystic realm at the age of 15, but 2.5 years ago, his meridians were destroyed. Now that he's recovered his strength, he actually made Sir Li suffer a loss. I reckon there's going to be a good show to watch. Stop arguing. The Ling family's people are coming. The mercenaries and adventurers around them began to discuss in low voices. I've really worn out iron shoes in fruitless searching. Today, I will take revenge for my daughter. Li Yuanlong's body emitted a powerful fire elemental light, and a scarlet fire sword appeared in his hand. His eyes revealed a strong hatred. Lan Dingshan, who was at the side, took out a long spear and shouted coldly, "Why do you need Brother Li to make a move? Let me personally get rid of this arrogant brat and avenge my son." Lan Dingshan was one step ahead of Li Yuanlong. His long spear was like a snake, emitting a green light as it pierced towards Ling Xiao's throat. It was obvious that he wanted to kill Ling Xiao in one move. Chapter 99. Lan Dingshan used 80% of his Shen energy right from the start. He planned to kill Ling Xiao in one blow without giving him any chance. "Don't you dare touch my nephew!" An earth-shattering roar was heard, and a golden light as sharp as a blade appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Boom! The green ray was blasted into pieces by the golden ray and did not cause any harm to Ling Xiao. Then, a stalwart figure stood in between Ling Xiao and Lan Dingshan. Ling Xiao looked at the person who helped him and his heart jumped. He immediately bowed to the person and said, "Xiao greets uncle." Ling Xiao did not have a deep impression of his uncle, but he recognized him as the commander of the 24 Tiger Guards at a glance. His uncle had a very high prestige in the family. Together with his father and the sons of several elders, he was a popular candidate for the position of clan leader. However, this uncle did not care much about the position of clan leader. On the contrary, he was very loyal to cultivation. So he chose to be the commander of the 24 Tiger Guards and wanted to take on the heavy responsibility of protecting the Ling family. Ling Yuan looked at Ling Xiao from head to toe and suddenly laughed. "Haha. Good, very good. I didn't expect that not only did you become a mystic again, but you also broke through to the middle level. No wonder you are a rare genius in our Ling family." Ling Yuan's hearty voice spread through the surrounding valley and reverberated in everyone's ears over and over again. Everyone revealed a look of shock, and soon after, another round of discussion sounded. What did a 17-year-old middle-level mystic mean in Meteorite City? The word genius could no longer describe his existence. This kind of tenbin could be called a demon. A rare genius in Meteorite City in 100 years finally broke out with a super-fast speed of advancement again. In just half a year, not only did he recover his status as a Shen cultivator from a cripple, he once again advanced triumphantly to become a middle-level mystic. This was really too shocking. If Ling Xiao was allowed to continue to grow like this, he would definitely become a leading figure in Meteorite City in the future. Impossible, he's so young. How can he be a mid-level mystic cultivator? Li Yuanlong roared like a madman. However, the truth was right in front of him. He was originally a high-level mystic cultivator. With a closer look, he could sense the aura on Ling Xiao. He was indeed a mid-level mystic cultivator, and his realm was very stable. It didn't look like he had broken through recently. Lan Dingshan, who was standing to the side, also revealed a look of shock. The killing intent in his eyes intensified as he looked at Ling Xiao. At this time, the Ling family's 24 Tiger Guards arrived behind Ling Xiao and Ling Yuan, forming a standoff with the Li and Lan families. The mercenaries and adventurers hurriedly hid far away, afraid that they would be implicated in the battle. Li Yuanlong, Lan Dingshan, "If you dare touch my nephew, then I won't rest until you're dead." Ling Yuan shouted at Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan. His aura surged, and his whole body shone with golden light. He looked extraordinary, and there was no doubt that he was a general. Ling Xiao's current performance as a tenbin was shocking, and he was also the Grand Elder's successor disciple. Everyone in the Ling family treated Ling Xiao as an important person to protect. Before coming to search for the mystic realm, Ling Tsong, the head of the Ling family, had specially ordered Ling Yuan to protect Ling Xiao if he saw him, even if he had to make an enemy out of anyone. It was enough to show how protective Ling Tsong was of his grandson this time. Li Yuanlong and Lan Dingshan's expressions kept changing. It looked like they were having a hard time making a decision. Once they started a fight with Ling Yuan, it would mean starting a fight with the Ling family. At this moment, although the two families had the advantage in numbers, the Ling family's 24 tiger guards were all experts that were picked out of 100, and their battle prowess was not necessarily weaker than theirs. Good, Ling Yuan. Let's see how long your Ling family can protect this stinking brat. Brother Lan, let's go. Li Yuanlong shouted coldly, calling for Lan Dingshan to leave. Li Yuanlong could be considered very patient. He was indeed worthy of being the next generation's head of the Li family. If it had been anyone else, they would probably have fought head-on. He didn't dare to start a fight at this moment, mainly because the time was not right. If he really wanted to start a war with the Ling family, he definitely couldn't start a fight unless he had absolute confidence. Otherwise, the Li family would only be destroyed. Before leaving, Li Yuanlong glared at Ling Xiao, then turned around and left with the Li and Lan families. At this time, Ling Xiao said faintly, "The matter isn't over yet, and you want to leave? Forget it, Xiaoer. Today's matter ends here." Ling Yuan looked at Ling Xiao in confusion, but in his heart, he was thinking, does this kid really want to force Li Yuanlong into a corner before he's satisfied? Now that Li Yuanlong was willing to lower his head, it was already a loss of face for the Li family. If he provoked the other party's bottom line and really started a fight, it was likely that both sides would pay a heavy price. This was not what Ling Yuan wanted to see. Stinking brat, don't think that just because you have a bit of peace you can jump out and make a fuss. Do you really think that with Ling Yuan and the 24 tiger guards protecting you, I can't kill you? Li Yuanlong said with a gloomy face, clenching his fists tightly. In his heart, however, he was thinking, don't fall into my hands one day, or else I'll make you live a life worse than death. Whether you kill me or not is one thing, but you hurt my Xiao Jin. Don't even think about leaving this place without leaving an arm behind. Ling Zhao's entire body's aura locked onto Li Yuanlong. He paused for a moment before saying, "Whoever killed the Signfire Wolf just now will be buried with me." As soon as Ling Xiao said this, everyone was dumbfounded. Listening to Ling Zhao's words, it seemed like he was saying that these two wolf spirit beasts were his beasts, and in Meteorite City, they had never heard of anyone having such a high-level beast pet. Everyone thought that Ling Xiao was talking big. Li Yuanlong laughed out loud and said, "That's right. I forgot that this wolf spirit beast is our Li family's prey. Li Ming, kill this wolf spirit beast and take it away. There are still a lot of good things on its body, we can't waste them." At this time, the Li family's high-level mystic cultivator who was surrounding the Golden Wolf King walked straight towards Ling Xiao, not the slightest bit afraid of the 24 tiger guards beside Ling Xiao. When the Li family's high-level mystic cultivator came to Ling Xiao's side, he threw a disdainful smile at Ling Xiao and said, "Excuse me, this is my prey. I want to kill it. If the beast bloodstains young Master Ling, then it won't be good." Ling Xiao slightly narrowed his eyes, his killing intent surging. Ling Yuan stopped him from the side. "Xiao, don't be rash." "Haha." The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator sneered a few times and raised a golden light in his hand, blasting towards the Golden Wolf King that was still lying on the ground. "You're courting death." Ling Xiao finally began to move, and his first move was an extremely powerful one. Sword Scar. The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator was already on guard, but he didn't expect Ling Xiao's move to be so fierce, and it was even a fire attribute that countered him. Countless flames shrouded him, and his heavy saber repeatedly swung out several golden rays to block, but there were too many of them, and his golden rays were drowned. The two moves collided, and the Li family's high-level mystic cultivator was forced to take a few steps back, and his body was injured in many places. "Bastard!" The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator roared, and wanted to use a strong move to kill Ling Xiao. However, there was no sign of Ling Xiao in front of him. At this time, Li Yuanlong, who was not far away, exclaimed, "Li Ming, he's behind you." The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator was shocked and quickly turned around. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Another scorching firelight slashed towards him. "No!" The Li family's high-level mystic cultivator cried out. He didn't even have time to resist, and was directly split into two by the flame. The corpse that was split into two fell heavily to the ground, and the corpse was still emitting a burnt smell, making people feel extremely disgusted. You actually dared to kill Li Ming, Ling Yuan. If you don't give me a satisfactory explanation, today the Li family and Lan family will not rest until one of us is dead. I mean what I say. Li Yuanlong finally couldn't suppress the anger in his heart, and shouted coldly at Ling Yuan. At this moment, Ling Yuan didn't know what to say. He really didn't think that Ling Xiao would really kill the opponent's people. In his heart, he was both surprised and worried. He was happy that Ling Xiao's strength was really very terrifying, but he was worried that he would really shed all pretense of cordiality with the Li family and Lan family. Later, I'll have someone send over 3 second-tier, high-tier weapons, and this matter will be over, Ling Yuan said indifferently. Impossible! 2 voices sounded at the same time. One was from Li Yuanlong, and the other was from Ling Xiao. Just 3 high-tier weapons and you want the Li family's deacon's life. Ling Yuan, you're too naive, Li Yuanlong shouted angrily, and then he said, I'll give you 30 second-tier, high-tier weapons, and I'll kill 10 of your deacons. Okay? You! Ling Yuan was about to get angry when he heard this. Uncle, you don't have to worry about this matter. They killed my spirit beast, so it's only right and proper for me to kill them, Ling Xiao said lightly, as if there was nothing wrong with killing a high-tier mystic cultivator. Brat, aren't you ashamed to say that? So many people saw us kill these 2 wolf beasts, and now that they're about to die, you run out and say that it's your spirit beast. Don't tell me that just because you said a few words that all the spirit beasts in the mountain range are yours, and we can't kill them? What a joke! Do you think we're all 3-year-old children? Li Yuanlong asked coldly, and he also pulled a group of mercenaries and adventurers as witnesses. His goal was to make the Li family and Lan family stand on the side of reason. After a pause, he said again, Unless you can prove that this spirit beast is yours, you'll have to pay with your life. Humph! Why do I need to prove that it's my spirit beast? Ling Xiao said indifferently. Ling Xiao's words not only made Li Yuanlong feel disdain, but even Ling Yuan felt embarrassed for Ling Xiao. He said to Ling Xiao in a low voice, My good nephew, can you stop making trouble? There are so many people watching. Ling Xiao looked around and saw that the mercenaries and adventurers all had playful smiles on their faces. Then he didn't say anything. Instead, he sent a message to the Golden Wolf King. Can Xiao Jin stand up? The Golden Wolf King replied, Master, Xiao Jin is much better now. He should be able to stand up. All right, stand up and come to me, Ling Xiao said again. At this time, Ling Xiao shouted to Li Yuanlong, Open your dog eyes wide and see if this is my spirit beast. Xiao Jin, come here. Just as Ling Xiao finished speaking, the Golden Wolf King slowly got up from the ground and swayed its body in front of Ling Xiao. It stuck out its tongue and licked Ling Xiao's hand, and its body kept rubbing against Ling Xiao, looking extremely intimate. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Is this high-grade 2-winged wolf really his spirit beast? How is this possible? Could it be that the Ling family really raised it since it was young? But I've never heard of it before. Young Master Ling Xiao has a mid-level cultivation, and with the help of this wolf spirit beast, I'm afraid that no one in the younger generation in the city would dare to compete with him. How terrifying. Chapter 100. If that blue fire wolf isn't dead, doesn't that mean he has 2 wolf beasts? The mercenaries and adventurers spoke one after another, and the surroundings were filled with confused voices. They didn't believe that the wolf beast belonged to Ling Xiao, but the truth was right in front of them. Li Yuanlong's face was ashen, and he snorted, Let's go! Wait, did I say you could leave? Ling Xiao shouted again. Did I say you could leave? If these words were said by a spirit master to Li Yuanlong and the others, no one would think anything was wrong. But coming from a middle-stage mystic cultivator, everyone felt that it was very strange. Although there were 24 tiger guards of the Ling clan present, the Li and Lan clan strength was also very frightening. If they fought, it was unknown who would win. Why was this young master of the Ling clan so arrogant? Could it be that just because he was the successor disciple of the Ling clan's grand elder, he could ignore the clan's interests and start a war with the two clans? Stinking brat, if you have the ability, then make us stay. Let's see who can leave this place alive. Li Yuanlong turned around and scolded. Ling Xiao didn't say anything else. He poured the wind attribute into his feet, and with the phantom cloud track movement technique, he swept towards the Lan clan mystic cultivator with the blue fire wolf. Kill that brat. Li Yuanlong sensed that Ling Xiao was really going to make a move and immediately ordered. Ling Yuan also ordered from the side. Tiger guards, protect Ling Xiao. After Ling Yuan finished speaking, the dagger axe on his back flew out and stabbed towards Li Yuanlong. Lan Dingshan also entered battle mode, leaving behind Tiger, one of the 24 tiger guards, to attack. For a moment, the mystic cultivators of the Ling clan, Li clan, and Lan clan all fought together. The mercenaries, adventurers, and the Luo clan all hid far away to watch the show. The nearby red-clothed girl pulled the old lady's hand and begged for help. Grandma, quickly go help Ling Xiao. What's the rush? If he dares to challenge them, he naturally has some ability. If he doesn't have the ability and still dares to touch them, it only means he's a fool without brains. The old lady replied indifferently, her old eyes staring at Ling Xiao. In an instant, Ling Xiao arrived in front of the Lan family's mid-level mystic cultivator, who was carrying the blue flame wolf's corpse. The silver ghost blood saber slashed down heavily from top to bottom. An ice crystal saber radiance emitted a bone-piercing chill. Cold glance, the first move of the Nye clan saber technique. The Lan family's mid-tier mystic cultivator didn't even think as he threw the green flame wolf away and raised the long sword in his hand to receive the attack. That Lan mystic cultivator didn't even think. The Lan family's mystic chi cultivator reacted to Ling Xiao's attack, but he was sent flying more than 10 meters away by Ling Xiao's attack. His whole body was attacked by the cold air. He shivered and quickly used his Xian energy to defend himself. Lan and Demon T but by. Another by Ling's other A, and a by the other clan's by. T. That said. By. Ling. As soon as he finished speaking, he collapsed. On the other side, the people of the Ling family were fighting with the people of the Li family and the Lan family. A series of explosions rang throughout the entire valley, and colorful lights bloomed like dazzling fireworks. Ling Xiao carried the blue fire wolf and returned to the front of the golden wolf king. Uncle, let the tiger guards stop. Ling Yuan forced Li Yuanlong back with one move and shouted, Tiger guards, come back. Ling Yuan and the 24 tiger guards retreated to Ling Xiao's side. Humph, you want to retreat after killing our people? Impossible. Kid, you must die today. Li Yuanlong snorted and charged at Ling Xiao. The flames of war had been ignited. It was impossible to stop here. Wastrel, bite his arm off. Ling Xiao pointed at Li Yuanlong and shouted into the air. Swoosh! A ray of fire shot towards Li Yuanlong from the sky. Everyone felt their vision blur, and then heard Li Yuanlong scream. Ah! There was a small scarlet spirit beast on his shoulder. It had bitten his shoulder, and his shoulder was forcibly torn off. After the scarlet spirit beast bit off Li Yuanlong's arm, it flew back to Ling Xiao's side and directly landed on Ling Xiao's shoulder, staring at everyone like a tiger watching its prey. Everyone was scared silly by this sudden scene. What kind of spirit beast was this little thing? How could it be so terrifying? It had bitten off a high-level mystic cultivator's arm in an instant. If it had been his throat, he would have died on the spot. The people of the Li family immediately went up to support Li Yuanlong, who had lost his arm, and someone fed him a few more pills to stabilize his injuries. Lan Dingshan also looked at Li Yuanlong worriedly. His back was drenched in cold sweat. He was afraid that the little beast would bite him. He did not know if he was still alive. This is the consequence of hurting my spirit beast. If any of you are still dissatisfied with me, Ling Xiao, I will accompany you to the end. Ling Xiao held his sword and shouted coldly at the Li and Lan clans. At this moment, Ling Xiao was like a god of death. emitting an awe-inspiring aura that no one dared to look directly at. Ling Yuan looked at the scarlet beast on Ling Zhao's shoulder and distanced himself from his nephew. He was shocked. How could Xiao Er have such a powerful spirit beast? Could he be a legendary beast tamer? Kill! Kill! Quickly kill that bastard for me. Li Yuanlong held the wound on his broken arm and kept shouting. His arm was crippled, and this made him lose all reason. He only knew that he needed revenge. But no one from the Li and Lan clans dared to go forward. They were all very afraid of the little beast. Its speed was not something they could keep up with. At this time, one of the Li family's deacons knocked Li Yuanlong out from behind. "Let's go, we'll go back first." That deacon had a high status in the Li family, so he directly gave the order to the Li family. He then coldly said to Ling Yuan, "When we return, I will definitely report this to my family head. Your Ling family can wait to start a war with us." With that, he left with the Li family. Lan Dingshan hesitated for a moment, then glared at Ling Xiao before waving his hand and leaving with his own people. "This won't be peaceful anymore," Ling Yuan muttered to himself as he watched the Li and Lan clans leave. When Ling Xiao saw that the Li and Lan clans had left, he rubbed the young Qilin's head and praised it. "Prodigal, good job." The young Qilin rubbed its head against Ling Zhao's ear as a response. "Uncle, thank you so much for this time." Ling Xiao stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Ling Yuan. If Ling Yuan hadn't brought his people to stand on his side today, he probably wouldn't have been able to deal with so many experts from the Li and Lan families by himself. "Stinking brat, you've become so arrogant after recovering some of your strength. Let's see how you explain this to your grandfather when we return," Ling Yuan scolded. "I'll have my grandfather help me explain this so that I won't be scolded by him." Ling Xiao shrugged helplessly as he mentioned the Grand Elder. "You, forget it, we'll talk about it when we get back to the family." Ling Yuan was so angered by Ling Zhao's words that he had nothing to say. "Uncle, you guys go back first and let grandfather and the others prepare. I'll return in 2 days," Ling Xiao said. "No, your grandfather has given a death order. If you see you, you must return immediately," Ling Yuan said resolutely. "Uncle, don't worry. No one can take my life. I'll wait for Xiao Jin's injuries to heal before I can return," Ling Xiao said. Ling Yuan thought about it and refused. "That won't do. If something happens to you and the Grand Elder blames me, I won't be able to bear the consequences." Ling Xiao wanted to say something, but he saw 2 people walking towards him. Ling Yuan also turned around and cupped his hands towards the old man in the conical cape. "May I ask which Luo family elder you are?" Ling Yuan couldn't see through this old man's cultivation, but he could tell that he was at least a spirit teacher, so he guessed that he was one of the Luo family elders. Before the old woman could reply, the red-clothed girl ran to Ling Zhao's side and said, "Ling Xiao, are you all right?" You are?" Ling Xiao looked up and down at the red-clothed girl in front of him in confusion. Then he came to a realization and said, "You can't be a chubby girl, right?" "You're the chubby girl," the red-clothed girl said as she stomped her feet. "Haha, why are you wearing a veil? I almost couldn't recognize you," Ling Xiao said with a slight smile. After hearing Ling Zhao's words, the red-clothed girl took off her veil, revealing a pure and charming face. If it wasn't the Luo family's Luo Qingxuang, who else could it be? Luo Qingxuang asked softly again, "Were you injured just now?" "Of course not. Only I can injure others." "No one can injure me," Ling Xiao said casually. "How arrogant. Alright, what is this little spirit beast? Why is it so scary?" Luo Qingxuang pointed at the young Qilin on Ling Zhao's shoulder with a timid look in her eyes. Ling Xiao glanced at the young Qilin and said, "I don't know what it is either. As soon as it saw me, it stuck to me. No matter how I chased it away, it wouldn't leave. Probably thinks that I'm a good person." Ling Xiao was very arrogant and didn't seem to be embarrassed at all. As soon as he said this, everyone's faces turned green. This guy's skin was really thick. At that moment, the granny looked up and down at Ling Xiao and said, "Not bad, little guy. He's quite suitable to be my grandson-in-law." "Grandma, what nonsense are you talking about?" Luo Qingxuang shyly glared at the granny. Her face had a rosy glow to it, making her look extremely beautiful. Ling Xiao greets this granny. I've made a fool of myself. Ling Xiao was quite respectful to the granny and immediately bowed. Haha, no need to be so polite. I really didn't think that the Ling family would have such an outstanding youth like you in this generation. Having you as my grandson-in-law is already not bad, the granny said bluntly. Grandma, I'm going to ignore you. Luo Qingxuang stomped her foot and glanced at Ling Xiao before turning around and running back. Girls really are thin-skinned, the granny said before following after her. That's right, uncle. Why did so many people come here? Ling Xiao only just realized that the people from the three great families had all come. There were also many mercenaries and adventurers gathered here. Could something big have happened? Ling Yuan replied, someone said that there's a secret realm nearby, so everyone wanted to come and try their luck. Oh. Ling Xiao replied softly and then said, there's no secret realm here. It's just a rumor created by someone else. Ling Xiao thought to himself, of course there's a secret realm. It's just that I've discovered it, so you guys won't have a share. I think so too. Other than the chasm, the entire area has been searched, but there's no trace of a secret realm. It seems that we've all been tricked. However, our main mission is still to protect you and bring you back. Ling Yuan nodded. Uncle, you should go back first. You have to believe me. I'll definitely be able to return safely in 2 days. Ling Xiao requested again. Chapter 101. Ling Xiao tried his best to persuade Ling Yuan, but Ling Yuan refused to go back. However, he ordered Hu Yi to bring the 12 tiger guards back to report to the clan leader and make preparations. Seeing Ling Yuan's determination, Ling Xiao allowed his uncle and the 12 tiger guards to wait for 2 days. The Luo clan also sent everyone back. Only the old lady and Luo Qingxuang joined the Ling clan's camp. Ling Yuan also found out that this old lady was the Luo clan's clan leader's wife, Mo Hongmei. She was a spirit master, but he couldn't tell what level she was at. He couldn't help but think that if the Ling clan and the Luo clan were to get married, the Li clan and Lan clan would have to tuck their tails between their legs. Originally, the Ling clan was the leader of the 3 great clans in Meteor City. However, the Ling clan wasn't united. Otherwise, they wouldn't be afraid of the Li clan and Lan clan's alliance. At night, Ling Xiao ordered the young Qilin to catch 2 spirit beasts. Without thinking, the young Qilin flew to the mountain range opposite the chasm and caught 2 rank 3 golden-eyed spirit pigs. Ling Xiao originally thought that the young Qilin only needed to catch rank 2 spirit beasts. He didn't think that the little guy would only catch rank 3 spirit beasts. He was speechless, but when he thought about the little guy's strength, he understood. After Ling Xiao took out the beast core of the golden-eyed spirit pig, he called everyone over to divide the golden-eyed spirit pigs. Ling Yuan and Mo Hongmei both recognized that the 2 in front of them were rank 3 spirit beasts, and their hearts were filled with shock. One must know that rank 3 spirit beasts were equivalent to human spirit masters, and yet they were lying dead in front of them. Ling Yuan gulped. Xiao where did you catch this golden-eyed spirit pig? Mo Hongmei also looked at Ling Xiao, waiting for his answer. Ling Xiao spread his hands. It was caught by the prodigal boy. He should have caught it from the mountain range opposite. After the young Qilin caught the golden-eyed spirit pig, it turned back into a small beast. The 2 didn't know the young Qilin's original identity. The 2 of them looked at the young Qilin timidly. They had originally thought that this little fellow was only a 3rd-tier spirit beast, but looking at it, it was most likely not a 3rd-tier spirit beast. The 2 of them didn't ask any more questions. They just looked at Ling Xiao with a complicated gaze. They knew that Ling Xiao wasn't telling the truth. However, they wondered why Ling Xiao named such a powerful spirit beast with a prodigal name. Ling Yuan ordered the tiger guards to cut up the golden-eyed spirit pig and roast it. Ling Xiao gave one of the beast cores to the young Qilin to eat, but the young Qilin refused to eat it. It must have not digested the beast core of the raging flame tiger that it ate today. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and came to the front of the Golden Wolf King. Xiao Jin, do you want to eat this? The Golden Wolf King ate 2 rank 2 spirit beasts from Ling Xiao, and the wounds on its body had healed quite a bit. However, it had lost too much blood, and its body was still very weak. When it saw the beast core in Ling Xiao's hand, it immediately said with a bright light, "Master, quickly give it to me." Ling Xiao didn't hesitate and directly threw it into the Golden Wolf King's mouth. The Golden Wolf King immediately swallowed the beast core, and not long after, a powerful aura blossomed from its body. Its golden fur that was like needles stood on end, and its body was surrounded by a golden light. The wolf raised its head high and howled towards the sky. "Awoo!" The Golden Wolf King stood up, and the wounds and flesh on its body actually healed at an extremely fast speed. Ling Xiao, who was at the side, watched in astonishment and muttered to himself, "Could it be that spirit beasts have to consume beast cores to advance?" Ling Xiao was right. Other than cultivating, spirit beasts could also rely on absorbing beast cores of the same attribute to advance. Relatively speaking, spirit beasts would take a long time to cultivate on their own, but spirit beasts had a rather long lifespan, and swallowing beast cores could quickly increase their advancement speed. If the Golden Wolf King was a normal high-rank 2 spirit beast that had yet to condense a beast core, swallowing a beast core would probably cause its body to explode and it would die. However, it was a mutated 3-eyed wind wolf, a high-rank spirit beast that had already condensed a beast core. Now it could swallow beast cores. Moreover, the gold-eyed spirit pig was a metal-type spirit beast, so the beast core and its attribute were just right. Therefore, if it absorbed the beast core, it would be able to advance into a rank 3 spirit beast. The Golden Wolf King's aura continued to rise, and its body also gradually grew. From its original 3 meters long body, it grew to about 4 meters. Its entire body seemed extremely majestic, and balls of golden light flashed dazzlingly. In the middle of its body, the third eye appeared again, and its bloodthirsty fangs became even more sinister and terrifying. An ordinary person standing in front of it would probably be scared out of their wits. At this moment, after the Golden Wolf King swallowed the beast core, it had evolved from a high-rank 2 spirit beast to a low-rank 3 spirit beast. Moreover, it had even reached the peak of the low rank. It seemed like this was because the Golden Wolf King already had a beast core, which was why it had advanced so quickly. Not far away, Ling Yuan, Mo Hongmei, and the 12 Tiger Guards couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts as they watched the Golden Wolf King evolve. If the Li and Lan families were to face this Golden Wolf today, they would probably only be able to run away with the wind. The young Qilin on Ling Zhao's shoulder growled at the Golden Wolf King in annoyance. The Golden Wolf King raised its fierce eyes and glanced at it. Immediately, like a deflated balloon, it quickly withdrew its aura and closed its third eye. The Golden Wolf King lowered its arrogant head, and there was not a single bit of its aura left. It came in front of the young Qilin and growled continuously, as if it was communicating something. It looked extremely respectful. The young Qilin on Ling Zhao's shoulder had an impatient expression, and it directly closed its eyes and ignored the Golden Wolf King. Ling Xiao couldn't help but ask, "Xiao Jin, what did you say to this wastrel?" The Golden Wolf King replied, "Master, this is our Beast Emperor's prince. I'm here to pay an audience with him." "Are you a wastrel or a prince? Then who's the Beast Emperor?" Ling Xiao shrunk back and couldn't help but ask in fear. If the young Qilin was a prince, then its family was definitely the Qilin royal family. If the Qilin divine beast came and misunderstood and killed him, then he would be out of luck. The Beast Emperor is the emperor of our mountain range, the emperor of all spirit beasts. I heard that he lives in the deepest part of the mountain range. Xiao Jin has only heard of him, but he doesn't have the qualifications to be the emperor, the Golden Wolf King said. "So that's how it is," Ling Xiao muttered. The Beast Emperor of the desolate mountain range should be the young Qilin's old man. Immediately after, Ling Zhao's heart became conflicted. He had originally wanted to bring the young Qilin back to Meteorite City and make it his flying mount in the future. But when he thought of its identity, he felt afraid, which made him extremely vexed. "Wastrel, I'm going back to my place of life. Do you want to follow me?" Ling Xiao said softly to the young Qilin. The young Qilin looked at Ling Xiao with its intelligent eyes and nodded in a very human-like manner. All right, you'll follow me from now on. If your family comes looking for you, you have to give them a good explanation. Don't let them eat your brother. Okay? Ling Xiao cautiously instructed. The young Qilin was like an obedient child, and it nodded again. Then its intelligent eyes became vigilant as it looked forward. The Golden Wolf King also walked to Ling Xiao's side, and it looked at the person who had arrived with a savage gaze. The person who walked over was Luo Qingxuang. Ling Xiao rubbed the young Qilin's head and said, "Relax, it's one of us. Ling Xiao, can I go over?" Luo Qingxuang looked at the ferocious and tall Golden Wolf King, her body trembling slightly as she stood 5 meters away and called out. Ling Xiao did not respond to her. Instead, he walked towards her and said, "Chubby girl, why are you treating me like an outsider?" When Luo Qingxuang saw Ling Xiao walking over, she felt less afraid. She pointed at the Golden Wolf King timidly and asked, Is this really your spiritual beast?" Ling Xiao patted the Golden Wolf King's forehead and said, "Of course. It's the Wind Wolf King that I subdued some time ago. You can call it Xiao Jin. Oh right, there's also this wastrel." Luo Qingxuang looked at the 2 spiritual beasts beside Ling Xiao and said with admiration, "Ling Xiao, you're really amazing. Not only did you recover your strength, but you also subdued such powerful spiritual beasts. The gap between us is getting bigger and bigger." Since young, Luo Qingxuang had always wanted to catch up to Ling Xiao's footsteps. But now, she realized that no matter how hard she tried, she could not catch up. Well, this young master's cultivation in Tenbin is slightly better than yours, but you don't have to feel inferior. You're now a high-level cultivator, and in Meteor City, you're already a genius girl in Tenbin, Ling Xiao said as he rubbed his nose. A few months ago, when Ling Xiao defeated Luo Qingxuang, she was only a mid-rank profounder. Now that she had broken through to become a high-rank profounder, her natural endowment was absolutely not inferior to her cousin brother Ling Li or the grandson of the second elder, Ling Kuang. "Don't comfort me. Oh right, can I go and touch them?" Luo Qingxuang was still a girl, and she was very curious about spiritual beasts. "Of course, no problem." Ling Xiao nodded. Luo Qingxuang gathered her courage and walked to Ling Xiao's side. Looking at the 2 spiritual beasts beside him, she felt a burst of excitement in her heart. Which girl didn't like pets? However, Luo Qingxuang wanted to touch the cutest young Qilin, but just as she stretched out her hand, she retracted it. Today, she had seen this little guy bite off Li Yuanlong's hand. Although it was still small, it was an extremely terrifying spiritual beast. Thus, she changed her hand to the Golden Wolf King, but when she saw its exposed fangs, she didn't dare to touch it. At this time, Ling Xiao saw that she was afraid, so he grabbed her delicate hand and pressed it on the Golden Wolf King's head. "I'm here, don't be afraid. Xiao Jin is very obedient." Luo Qingxuang softly responded. Her delicate face felt extremely hot, because Ling Xiao's thick palm was holding her hand without letting go. A sweet warmth made her heart beat non-stop. "Shuang-er, you're so beautiful." Ling Xiao looked at the beauty in front of him and couldn't help but praise. Although Yun Mingqi was the first woman that had moved his heart, Ling Xiao had never felt that he had too many women. Moreover, Luo Qingxuang had already expressed her love for him, so he wouldn't reject a beauty of this level. Luo Qingxuang's face became even redder after hearing Ling Xiao's words. She raised her intelligent eyes and looked at Ling Xiao. "Now that you've become so powerful, then in the future, the gap between us will only grow larger and larger. Will you still like me?" Chapter 102. Ling Xiao gently wrapped his arm around Luo Qingxuang's slender waist and said, "Of course I like it, but you need to constantly improve yourself. I can't stay in Meteorite City for too long. In the future, I'll have to leave the city and go to places where there are even more powerhouses. Only then can I become even more powerful, so if you want to be my maid, you still need to work hard." This time, Luo Qingxuang did not run away. Instead, She felt Ling Xiao's desire to become stronger and felt intoxicated. She immediately leaned against his chest. "Don't worry, I won't drag you down. I hope you won't leave me behind in the future." Ling Xiao looked up at the sparse stars and felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. Would he really be able to leave Meteorite City with Luo Qingxuang and Bai Yushi in the future? The next day, the sky had just brightened, and Ling Yuan had already brought the 12 tiger guards back to Meteor City. Meanwhile, Luo Qingxuang's grandmother had also left by herself. They were very relieved about Ling Xiao, because with a rank 3 golden wind wolf protecting him, the number of people who would dare to touch Ling Xiao in Meteor City could be counted on one's fingers. Moreover, he still had a powerful and mysterious little beast by his side. After the others left, it was time for Ling Xiao to have some fun. He hugged Luo Qingxuang and sat on the golden wind wolf, leisurely wandering around the valley. Beautiful women like jade, delicate flowers blooming. The mountain scenery was picturesque. Wasn't this feeling exactly what Ling Xiao wanted? For a moment, Ling Xiao forgot about the pain Yun Mingqi left in him. It had to be said that Ling Xiao's playboy heart had not changed at all. Along the way, Ling Xiao took advantage of Luo Qingxuang's calmness. The fragrance of a virgin, the smooth and delicate skin made his beastly blood boil. Previously, after losing his virginity with Bai Yushi, Ling Xiao had a special desire for love. However, he also knew that it was not the right time to have any relations with Luo Qingxuang. If the Luo clan really forced him to marry her, it would be troublesome. It wasn't that he didn't want to marry them, but he had already left the position of wife to Yun Mingqi. Hence, Luo Qingxuang and Bai Yushi could only be his concubines or maids. It had to be said that Ling Xiao's appetite was very big. In Meteor City, who didn't want to marry the famous flower of the Luo family? However, Ling Xiao had given her the status of a concubine's maid. If others were to find out, they would probably take a kitchen knife and chop this guy to death. For several days in a row, Ling Xiao and Luo Qingxuang walked and stopped from time to time. Neither of them was in a hurry to continue on their journey. Along the way, the two of them enjoyed the view of the flowers and the moon. Occasionally, they would pluck spirit herbs that were at least tier 1 and above. These spirit herbs were all worth gold coins, so it would be a waste not to take them. Moreover, some of them were quite useful. Thus, on the 6th day, Ling Xiao once again came to the territory of the 2 black bears that he had encountered with Lone Eagle. However, what he didn't expect was that the 2 black bears were nowhere to be seen. Near the entrance of the cave, trees had fallen, and there were many deep pits. There were also a lot of bloodstains. It was obvious that there had been a fierce battle. Suddenly, Ling Xiao had a bad premonition. He loudly called out, "Boss Black Bear! Boss Black Bear!" The echoes reverberated endlessly in the valley. In his mind, scenes of the battle with the black bears flashed back to the moment when he helped the mother bear give birth to the cute cub. A raging fire ignited in his heart. "Brother Xiao, what's wrong?" Luo Qingxuang looked at the current Ling Xiao and felt an inexplicable pain in her heart. After these days of being with Ling Xiao, her relationship with Ling Xiao had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, even the way she addressed him had changed. There was only a layer of paper between them that hadn't been broken. "Goddamned bastard. Whoever killed He Xiong, I'll slaughter his entire family." Ling Xiao's eyes were red with rage, and he roared into the sky. His murderous voice echoed in the valley, startling the birds and causing them to fly everywhere. "Xiao Jin, smell the scent here and remember it. Tell me if you find anything," Ling Xiao said to the Golden Wolf King telepathically. "Yes, master. This scent should have been left behind yesterday." It went in that direction. The Golden Wolf King answered after sniffing the bloodstains on the ground. The Golden Wolf King was referring to the direction back to Meteorite City. Ling Xiao jumped on the wolf's back and shouted, "Chase it with all your might." Hearing Ling Xiao's command, the Golden Wolf King carried Ling Xiao and Luo Qingxuang and swept out at lightning speed. On the outskirts of the mountain, a group of 40 to 50 mercenaries were rushing back to the relay station. Among these people, more than half of them were injured, some light and some serious, making them look extremely miserable. Among these people, there was a lean man who had already reached the high-level mystic realm. He held a metal cage in his hand, and inside the cage was a black bear cub that was less than half a meter tall. The bear cub kept struggling in the cage, glaring at the lean man and roaring non-stop. This little thing is quite fierce. When it grows up, it will definitely become a fierce beast. I like it. The lean man looked at the black bear cub in the cage, liking it more and more. He had paid a huge price to catch it. Unfortunately, he didn't find any black Ganoderma in the black bear cave, or it would have been even better. This person was called Ma Meng, around 40 years old. He had just broken through from the mid-level to the high-level mystic realm, and his mercenary group had around 120 people. Ma Meng, who had just broken through, had brought his mercenary group to the mountain range to look for prey and test out his cultivation. He didn't expect to find the black bear not long after entering the mountain range. According to his years of experience, black Ganoderma usually grew in black bear caves, so he decided to kill the black bear. He was a high-level mystic cultivator, so he naturally wasn't afraid of the black bear. Plus, he had 2 low-level mystic cultivators as well as a group of brothers. Just when he thought that victory was in his grasp, he didn't expect there to be another black bear in the cave. The 2 black bears fought with them, and more than half of the 100 or so subordinates were lost. 1 low-level mystic cultivator died under the black bear's paw, and the other was seriously injured. He himself was also lightly injured. Only with such a price did he manage to kill the 2 black bears, obtaining 2 pairs of paws, 2 bear gallbladders, and a black bear cub. Relatively speaking, the losses were heavy. If it wasn't for the black bear cub, Ma Meng would probably be in a very bad mood, because he didn't find any black Ganoderma in the bear cave. Captain, should we go to the relay station to rest for a night before leaving? The high-level mystic cultivator beside Ma Meng asked. Oh, let's rest for a night first. Tonight, everyone should have a good time, my treat. Ma Meng replied. Good. The demoralized mercenaries immediately cried out in surprise. For mercenaries like them, who often went through fire and water, the happiest thing was to be able to return in one piece every time, and then find a woman or 2 to have a few hundred rounds with to vent the fear they encountered in the mountain range. At the same time, they could enjoy a more luxurious life while they were still alive. Before nightfall, Ma Meng and his group arrived at the relay station. Before entering the relay station, Ma Meng covered the iron cage with a black cloth to prevent others from finding out that he had caught a spirit beast cub, which would cause a lot of trouble. Did you hear? A few days ago, the son of the Li family's patriarch, Lord Li Yuanlong, was bitten on the arm by a spirit beast of a young master from the Ling family. Also, people from the Li family and the Lan family were killed by that young master, and the 2 families didn't even dare to say a word. TSK, I saw it with my own eyes. That's the Ling family's cultivation genius, Ling Xiao. Not long ago, he was accepted as a successor disciple by the Ling family's grand elder. At the age of 17, he was already a mid-level mystic cultivator. At that time, he only used 2 moves to kill a deacon from the Li family, and that deacon was also a high-level one. It can't be. The Ling family's young master is only a mid-level cultivator. How could he kill a deacon from the Li family in 2 moves? What's so impossible about that? Maybe he practices a Saiyan-level technique, so it's not impossible for him to kill a deacon from the Li family. There's something even more interesting. The high-level spirit beast that the Li family killed was actually the Ling family's young master's mount. At that time, the Ling family's young master said that it was his spirit beast, but no one believed him. After that, the Ling family's young master called out to the golden winged wolf, and the wolf came to him like a docile puppy and licked his hand. Is that true? That's getting more and more ridiculous. Forget it if you don't believe it. Many people saw it. Yeah, we all saw it. The Ling family's young master has a small spirit beast. Don't be fooled by its small size, its strength is at least at the 3rd level. In the blink of an eye, it bit off the Li family's lord's hand. It's too scary. In the relay station, many mercenaries and adventurers were still discussing the events that happened a few days ago with great interest. After Ma Meng and his group entered the relay station, They all found a place to sit down. Ma Meng drank while listening to other people's discussion. His face was full of disdain. He didn't believe that a mid-level mystic cultivator could kill a high-level mystic cultivator. Because he had just stepped into the high-level mystic cultivator from the mid-level mystic cultivator, he could feel the huge gap between the two levels. Even if the opponent had a high-level mystic technique, it was impossible to kill a high-level mystic cultivator so quickly. Could it be that the opponent couldn't escape even if he couldn't win? Ma Meng didn't care and continued to brag with his brothers. He didn't know that his calamity was gradually approaching. On the road from the mountain to the relay station, a powerful spirit beast ran like the wind. It was like a golden bolt of lightning cutting through the silent night sky, scaring the mercenaries and adventurers on the road and causing them to flee. They thought that a powerful spirit beast had escaped from the mountain range and was attacking them. Ling Xiao, who was sitting on top of the spirit beast, had an extremely ugly expression. Luo Qingxuang, who was sitting behind him, only hugged him tightly and didn't say a word. She could feel that Ling Xiao was in a very bad mood. Only the scarlet little beast sat on the head of the golden wolf king with its eyes closed. No matter how fast the speed was, it didn't affect it at all. "Master, I can smell it. It's not far from here." The golden wolf king ran with all its might as it transmitted a message to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao responded softly. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the relay station not far away. A formless, murderous aura rose. "Blood must be shed tonight." Luo Qingxuang, who was behind him, was almost suffocated by Ling Xiao's murderous aura. However, she still gritted her teeth and didn't make a sound. In the next second, the Golden Wolf King stopped outside the relay station. Those mercenaries and adventurers who had just arrived at the relay station saw such a majestic golden wind wolf and were so frightened that they screamed and ran away. Chapter 103. Many of the mercenaries and adventurers who had been drinking and chatting at the entrance of the relay station were given a fright. Some of the mercenaries who had been sitting on the railings even fell down from their fright, looking extremely comical. "Wolf! What a huge golden wind wolf!" The mercenaries and adventurers cried out in shock as they hurriedly ran into the relay station. A few of Ma Meng's subordinates also saw the golden wind wolf and hurriedly ran over to Ma Meng, stammering, Captain, there's a huge wind wolf outside. What's there to be afraid of? There's so many people here. What's there to be afraid of? It looks like you've all been scared shitless." Ma Meng glared at his subordinates and snorted before continuing to drink. He didn't think that the golden wind wolf could be very strong. At most, it would only be mid-stage second grade. What was there to be afraid of? He could kill it all by himself. At this time, a few more mercenaries ran over and shouted, "It's young Master Ling Xiao from the Ling family. It's the golden wind wolf he's riding. Everyone, don't be afraid." Many of the mercenaries and adventurers calmed down when they heard this, and some even stood up and ran over to take a look. Ma Meng also wanted to see if the young master's golden wind wolf really had the strength of a high-stage second grade, and so he went out with his subordinates, not forgetting to carry the iron cage with the cub. Outside the station, Ling Xiao sat on the back of the Golden Wolf King like a knight, majestic and handsome. Behind him, Luo Qingxuang was like a lotus flower rising from the water, so beautiful that it dazzled the eyes of all who looked at her. "Master, the aura is here." The Golden Wolf King sent a mental message to Ling Xiao. "Oh, I got it," Ling Xiao replied indifferently. There were at least 200 to 300 mercenaries in the relay station, and finding the killer of the black bear wouldn't be easy. The mercenaries and adventurers in and around the relay station all pointed at Ling Xiao and the Golden Wolf King as they discussed. Everyone was filled with curiosity and envy. Those who did not believe that Ling Xiao's mount was a Type 2 wind wolf were now convinced. Looking at the crimson beast on top of the gold wind wolf's head, everyone believed that the Li family's lord had lost an arm. Ma Meng walked out of the house and looked at the impressive combination. His eyes lit up, and he praised in his heart, "What a majestic and mighty golden wind wolf." At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing a gray robe walked out of the relay station, and the mercenaries and adventurers quickly made way for him. The middle-aged man leisurely walked in front of Ling Xiao, glanced at the Golden Wolf King, and his face twitched slightly. He then cupped his hands towards Ling Xiao and said, "I am the owner of the relay station, Fengde. Greetings, young Master Ling." When the mercenaries and adventurers saw the newcomer, they started to shout again. "He's the mysterious boss of the relay station? It is said that he has the cultivation of a spirit master. I think he's not bad. Do you think he's faking it? I didn't think that even the boss would come. I really don't know what young Master Ling wants to do." Ling Xiao jumped down from the Gold Wolf King and cupped his hands towards the newcomer. "So it is Boss Feng. Please forgive me if I have disturbed you." Previously, Ling Xiao had heard from Lone Eagle that this relay station was opened by a spirit master, so normal warriors did not dare to have any ideas about the relay station. Now that he saw the middle-aged man in front of him, he indeed had the cultivation of a spirit master. At the very least, his aura was definitely not something that a mystic disciple should have. Fengde smiled. "It is my honor that young Master Ling Xiao can come here. I wonder if young Master Ling Xiao wants to stay or eat." It was true that Fengde was a spirit master, and normal high-level mystic disciples did not have the qualifications to make him come out. However, with Ling Xiao's status, it was enough for him to humble himself and come out to welcome him. Putting aside the fact that Ling Xiao was the successor disciple of the Ling clan's Grand Elder, just the rank 3 Wolf King in front of him was enough for Fengde to pay attention to him. If they really fought, he might not be the Gold Wolf King's opponent. It must be known that spirit beasts were much stronger than humans of the same level. "Boss Feng, I am here to find someone." Ling Xiao responded and swept his gaze across the mercenaries and adventurers. At the same time, he told the Gold Wolf King to pay attention to the aura's location. "Oh, I wonder who young Master Ling Xiao is looking for? Let me see if I can help you inquire about it," Fengde replied. "No need. I have found the person I am looking for," Ling Xiao replied indifferently. Then his gaze locked onto Ma Meng, who was behind the crowd. Ling Xiao pointed in Ma Meng's direction and shouted coldly, "Come out!" The people around Ma Meng quickly moved away, leaving Ma Meng standing there in a daze, not knowing what to do. Ma Meng pointed at himself and asked, "Young master, are you looking for me?" "That's right, it's you," Ling Xiao replied with narrowed eyes. Ma Meng grumbled in his heart, "I don't think I've offended the Ling clan." However, he still braced himself and walked in front of Ling Xiao. "I am Ma Meng. Greetings, young Master Ling Xiao. May I ask why young Master Ling Xiao is looking for me?" Ling Xiao didn't reply, instead looking at the black cloth covering the cage in Ma Meng's hands. "Xiao He? Is that you?" "Whoa!" The cage in Ma Meng's hands immediately began to shake, and the bear cub began to struggle and roar. Ma Meng's expression tensed up, and he immediately said, "Young Master Ling Xiao, if there is nothing else, I will take my leave." "Did I say you can leave? Put down the cage." Ling Xiao coldly barked, his entire body's aura enveloping Ma Meng. Ma Meng's expression changed, and he immediately replied, "Young Master Ling Xiao, could it be that you want to rob me?" At this time, Ma Meng's mercenaries quickly gathered behind Ma Meng, bolstering his aura. Ling Xiao coldly looked at the people in front of him. Needless to say, these were the mercenaries who had killed the 2 black bears. "Good, everyone is here." Ling Xiao smiled coldly, then turned to Fengde and the surrounding mercenaries and adventurers. "Those who don't have anything to do with this, get out of the way." With that, Ling Xiao's figure flashed, and the blue crystal sword was unsheathed, a fiery light flashing towards Ma Meng. Ma Meng's heart trembled, and he hurriedly retreated. Unfortunately for him, Ling Xiao's speed was as fast as a ghost, and in an instant, he arrived at Ma Meng's side, and his sword landed on the arm that was holding the cage. "Ah!" Ma Meng let out a blood-curdling scream, and one of his hands spat out fresh blood as it fell to the ground. "Captain!" Ma Meng's subordinates cried out in alarm, and hurriedly went up to support him, giving him a healing pill. Ling Xiao didn't chase after him, and instead picked up the cage and pulled back the black cloth. Sure enough, he saw the cub. This cub was the one that Ling Xiao had personally delivered that day, and no one could understand the love and care he had for the cub. Ling Xiao split open the cage, and the cub immediately jumped into Ling Xiao's arms, continuously crying out in a sorrowful voice. Ling Xiao felt an indescribable pain in his heart, and he rubbed the cub's head, saying, "Little Black, don't worry. I'll avenge your parents." The cub seemed to understand Ling Xiao's words, and it repeatedly licked Ling Xiao's face. All of the mercenaries and adventurers present were thinking, could it be that Ma Meng stole young Master Ling Xiao's spirit beast? After Feng De was bandaged by his subordinates, his face was dripping with sweat, and he unwillingly said to Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao, this is the spirit beast that we brothers obtained from the mountain range. Why did you steal it from us?" Ling Xiao didn't answer Feng De's question, and instead handed the cub to Luo Qingxuang. He then turned around and said quietly, "Dead people don't need to know the answer." After saying this, Ling Xiao unsheathed his sword, and his entire body swept towards the mercenaries beside Ma Meng. Ma Meng's companions all attacked. Unfortunately, other than Ma Meng, they only had a low-level Mystic Realm vice-captain, and the others were only at the Mystic Realm. How could they be a match for Ling Xiao? Thinking back to the time when Ling Xiao was only a mid-level Mystic Realm cultivator, he could already slaughter high-level Mystic Realm cultivators. Now that he was a mid-level Mystic Realm cultivator, who else could suppress him other than a spirit master? He was like a god of death from the Nine Hells realm, and everywhere he went, people would scream and fall. The surrounding mercenaries and adventurers all hid far away to avoid being mistakenly killed. In less than a quarter of an hour, Ma Meng and his subordinates all died in disorder in front of the relay station. The surroundings were completely silent. A gust of wind blew, and the smell of blood filled the air. Ling Xiao sheathed his sword and said to Feng De, "If I have offended you in any way, please write me a letter." After saying this, he jumped back onto the back of the Golden Wolf King and instantly disappeared into the night. Feng De looked at the corpses on the ground, and then looked at the distant golden light and murmured, "I'm afraid that Meteor City is going to change soon." At this time, all the mercenaries and adventurers were in an uproar, and they all began to discuss. How terrifying is that really the strength of a mid-level Mystic Realm cultivator? He cut off Ma Meng's hand in one move, and I heard that Ma Meng is already a high-level Mystic Realm cultivator. Isn't that so? That murderous aura is really suffocating. He's practically a god of death, as expected of the Ling clan's Grand Elder's successor disciple. With such strength and methods, I'm afraid that when he grows up, he'll definitely become a top expert in Meteor City. Far away in Meteor City, Ling Yuan had already returned to the clan and was currently meeting with his father, Ling Tsong. After leaving the mountain range, Ling Yuan and the Tiger Guards rushed back overnight. Yuan, yesterday the Tiger Guards reported that Xiao returned with you. Why don't I see Xiao? Ling Tsong asked his eldest son with his hands behind his back. Father, Xiao is on the way back. Yuan was afraid that something would happen to the clan, so he came back early to prepare. Ling Yuan replied, "How could you let Xiao return alone? Don't you know that the Li and Lan clan want nothing more than to kill Xiao?" Ling Tsong angrily scolded. Now that his grandson had completely humiliated both the Li and Lan clan, the other side must be thinking of ways to get rid of his grandson. He had sent Ling Yuan to protect him, but now that Ling Yuan had returned first and there was no one to protect him, wouldn't that put his grandson in danger? "Father, listen to me first." Ling Yuan comforted. "No, hurry up and bring the Tiger Guards to bring Xiao back unharmed." Ling Tsong interrupted Ling Yuan's words and ordered. He was afraid that if he delayed even a moment, Ling Xiao would lose his life. It was enough to show how much he cared for Ling Xiao. "Father, Xiao doesn't need my protection. He has two spirit beasts that are above the 3rd level. In Meteor City, besides the Grand Elder, no one can touch him," Ling Yuan explained loudly. Chapter 104. What? Ling Tsong couldn't react in time. Ling Yuan patiently told Ling Tsong everything that had happened that day. He even told him about the golden wind wolf's evolution and the mysterious little beast that could even kill a rank 3 spirit beast. Hearing this, Ling Tsong had a look of disbelief on his face. Then he laughed. God bless my Ling family. God bless my Xiao heir. Father, do you think Xiao heir is a legendary beast tamer? Ling Yuan guessed. How would I know? Let's ask him when he comes back. That brat ran out of the family without saying a word. Even the great elder was furious, Ling Tsong said with a satisfied smile. He paused for a moment, then said, Yuan heir, you must be tired from the long journey. Go and rest. Father, I'm fine. All right, what have the two old foxes been up to lately? Ling Yuan asked. They rarely go out and are extremely cautious. I'm sure they're waiting for an opportunity. Ling Tsong replied indifferently, a sharp light flashing in his eyes. Father, why don't you expose them for using the family's treasury to buy poisonous plants? Then we can punish them and kick them out of the family, Ling Yuan asked. Now is not the time to beat the grass and alert the snake. We must make good use of this opportunity. Otherwise, we won't be able to catch the snake and will be bitten instead. Ling Tsong shook his head as if he already had a plan in mind. On a road that led from the desolate mountains to Meteorite City, a golden wind wolf was riding a young man and woman. The young man was carrying a small black bear cub that was less than half a meter tall. It was fluffy and looked very cute. This group was Ling Xiao and the others who had just left the relay station. Normal horses would take at least 2 days to get back to the city from the relay station. Riding the golden wind wolf, it took them less than a night to get back to the city. The city gate was already in sight. Luo Qingshuang hugged Ling Xiao from behind and said reluctantly, Brother Xiao, we won't be able to see each other anymore, will we? After taking revenge for the black bear and taking back the cub, Ling Xiao felt much better. He replied, If you miss me, you can come and find me any time. Luo Qingshuang said gently, I'm a girl. It's embarrassing for me to keep running to your house. In her heart, she thought that the man should take the initiative and visit her at her home. Then why don't you be my personal maid? That way you can see me every day, Ling Xiao said with a serious expression. I hate you so much, Luo Qingshuang scolded, then bit Ling Xiao's shoulder hard. Hiss, are you a dog? Your bite hurts so much, Ling Xiao said, pretending to be in pain. He had already cultivated the Vajra 5 transformation technique to the 3rd layer, so being bitten was nothing to him. Luo Qingshuang touched Ling Xiao's shoulder guiltily and asked softly, Does it hurt? Silly, even if you bite me 10 more times, I'm not afraid. I'm made of iron. Ling Xiao could hear the reluctance in Luo Qingshuang's voice, so he tried to comfort her. Brother Xiao, I've made up my mind. I'm moving to your house. Luo Qingshuang clenched her fists and made up her mind. After spending so much time with Ling Xiao, she realized that she had fallen hopelessly in love with Ling Xiao. She didn't want to leave him for even a minute. Ling Xiao almost fainted at Luo Qingshuang's words. One had to know that a girl could not casually move into a man's house unless she was a maid or a servant girl. For a daughter of a great family like Luo Qingshuang, if she was not officially married, it would attract criticism and ridicule from others. Moreover, the Luo family would not be able to maintain their reputation. Shuang-er, don't be impulsive. We still have a lot of time. I'll come to your house to play with you when I'm free, Ling Xiao said seriously. Although he really wanted to take Luo Qingshuang as a maid, he couldn't do it with his current strength. Unless he had the ability to suppress the Luo family's strength, no one would say anything about it. After all, this was a world of the strong. Only the strong were respected, and only the strong could suppress the secular world. You said it, so you can't go back on your word, Luo Qingshuang said with a bright smile. Just as Ling Xiao was about to reply, the Golden Wolf King said, Master, there's an enemy. It's the one who escaped from the Illusion Valley. There's another person with him, and his aura is even stronger than his. Ling Xiao quickly gathered his thoughts and expanded his awareness to its maximum. Indeed, there was an ambush 100 meters away. According to the Golden Wolf King, one of the people was the leader of the Green Wolf group, and the other person was even stronger than him. He was probably a spirit master, but he didn't know who that person was. If it was just Ling Xiao alone, he would have turned tail and run. Now that he had the Golden Wolf King and the young Qilin, he could do whatever he wanted in Meteor City, so he didn't have to worry about being ambushed. Ling Xiao rode the Golden Wolf King until he was 50 meters away from the two of them. He shouted, "Green Wolf, aren't you tired after hiding for so long?" At this moment, Green Wolf King jumped out from the tall grass and said, "I didn't expect to be discovered by you. You really are the Ling family's Ling Xiao. It's time to settle the grudge in the Illusion Valley." "Haha, you don't seem to have the qualifications. Please ask that sneaky fellow to come out," Ling Xiao said with a relaxed smile. A few black figures jumped out from the grass. Ling Xiao was stunned when he saw this. He had only sensed 2 people, so how could there be so many? Ling Xiao carefully looked at the people in front of him. They were all wearing black robes, except for the short man in the middle, who was wearing a cloak. The other 4 didn't have the slightest sign of life. Their faces were ashen and frightening, and their eyes were bloodthirsty. The short cloaked man laughed sinisterly. "Hee, what a good level 3 Wolf King. Tall and handsome, just right for my mount." The short person's voice was very old and hoarse, and it was obvious that he was an old monster that was close to 100 years old. Furthermore, he didn't seem the slightest bit afraid of the Golden Wolf King, and even seemed to be very excited. It seemed that his strength was quite terrifying. "Old fogey," Ling Xiao cursed disdainfully. "Brat, you're courting death." The short person snorted and waved his withered hand, sending a cloud of black mist towards Ling Xiao. The black fog was terrifying, and in the blink of an eye, it had reached Ling Xiao. At this time, the young Qilin on the Golden Wolf King's head opened its mouth and actually sucked the black mist into its stomach. Then it spat out a dark red flame at the short person. "Eh? This is the little beast that injured that Li brat?" The short person's body swayed slightly as he dodged the young Qilin's flame. "It's good that you know. If you know what's good for you, then scram. Otherwise, today will be the day you die." Ling Xiao snorted. "Haha. It's been many years since someone has spoken to me like this. You're the first brat. Don't think that you're the only one with a spirit beast and others don't." The short person laughed sinisterly, and with a flash of his arm, a 10-meter long horned black snake appeared in front of him. This third-rank horned black snake would require 2 people to wrap their arms around it. It was covered in black snakeskin with silver-white patterns. Its body was tall and straight, and it had a triangular head. Its mouth was as big as a basin, and it spat out a long forked tongue. It looked extremely sinister and frightening. Luo Qingxuang, who was behind Ling Xiao, was frightened by this snake. The green wolf beside the short person also retreated a few steps, afraid of being accidentally injured by the snake. This time, Ling Xiao's expression became serious. He hadn't thought that the green wolf would be able to invite such a powerful person to deal with him. It seemed that this battle was unavoidable. Right now, the sky was still dark, and they were the only ones on the main road. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. "Haha! This black snake is your breakfast. Enjoy it," the short person said softly as he stroked the snake's body. The horned black snake looked at the Golden Wolf King, and a bloodthirsty light flashed through its eyes. It spat out its long forked tongue, as if provoking the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King was also on guard, and it bared its fangs as it howled at the horned black snake. "Xiao Jin, are you a match for it?" Ling Xiao asked the Golden Wolf King. "Master, I'll have to fight it to know," the Golden Wolf King replied. "All right, be careful," Ling Xiao replied, and then handed the cub to Luo Qingxuang. He then carried both of them down, preparing for the Golden Wolf King to fight with the horned black snake. "Let's begin. Kill it for me," the short person ordered as he licked his lips. As soon as he finished speaking, the horned black snake scuttled towards the Golden Wolf King. The speed was shockingly fast. At the same time, the 4 lifeless people beside him also charged towards Ling Xiao. The Green Wolf King didn't stay idle either, and raised his heavy blade as he charged towards Ling Xiao. "Little fellow, come over here. I have food here." The short person took out a few pills from his sleeves and charmingly spoke to the young Qilin on the Golden Wolf King's head. The pills in his hands were specially refined for spirit beasts, and the medicinal smell they emitted was what spirit beasts liked to eat. He wanted to use this little trick to subdue this little beast. Unexpectedly, when the young Qilin and the Golden Wolf King bit towards the horned black snake, the young Qilin flew towards the horned black snake first. It flew directly to the horned black snake's neck and bit down. Hiss, hiss. The horned black serpent was bitten and immediately thrashed about incessantly, causing the dust on the road to fly up. Bastard! The short person didn't think that this little beast wouldn't be charmed by him and even hurt his beloved snake. He immediately waved a black iron chain and smashed it towards the little beast. The young Qilin's reaction was extremely fast. Just as the iron chain was about to smash into it, it flew up. That iron chain ruthlessly smashed onto the body of the horned black snake, causing it to feel endless pain. At this time, the Golden Wolf King took the opportunity to pounce and bite at the already injured horned black snake. The short person faced the young Qilin. Every move emitted a frightening black mist, and also contained a large amount of poison. Fortunately, the young Qilin was of the pure fire attribute and wasn't harmed by the poison. It only kept dodging, causing the short person to grit his teeth in anger, but there was nothing he could do. On the other side, Ling Xiao was besieged by a few lifeless high-level mystic cultivators and the Green Wolf King, and fell into a bitter battle. Damn it! Who are these people? Why aren't they angry? Ling Xiao brandished his blade and sword, and continuously parried their attacks. Chapter 105. However, what he found strange was that these four people did not seem to have any elemental attacks. They only knew how to fight with their lives on the line, and they did not seem to care about their own lives. Scar left by sword. Ling Xiao's blue crystal sword shot out dozens of flaming rays towards the four people. Countless sword rays pierced into their bodies. Ling Xiao saw that the four people did not dodge and thought that they would all die. Who knew the next moment he would see a shocking scene. Other than the dark green liquid flowing out of their bodies, these four people were still able to attack him. They did not seem to be injured at all, and their movements did not slow down at all. Poison men. These two words flashed through Ling Xiao's mind. As he was distracted, Green Wolf took the opportunity to slash a terrifying green light at Ling Xiao's back. Luckily, Ling Xiao reacted in time, and the Silver Ghost Bloodblade turned around to block. Ding dang! Ling Xiao was pushed back several meters, his body churning, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was still a distance away from Green Wolf, and was not his match in a direct confrontation. However, this also reminded Ling Xiao to get rid of Green Wolf first. Immediately, he used his wind attribute, and with the help of Phantom Cloud, he appeared in front of Green Wolf. Die! Ling Xiao struck out with his sword and blade. Shadowless blade, scar left by sword. The translucent saber shadow and the crimson sword gleam swept towards Green Wolf. Dual elemental attack. Green Wolf was shocked, and quickly gathered all his dark force to block. Ding dang dang. Sparks flew as the weapons clashed. Green Wolf barely managed to block this terrifying attack, and was cut all over his body. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Just as he was about to heave a sigh of relief, an ice crystal blade shadow slashed towards his face. No! Green Wolf roared, and quickly retreated. But the saber shadow's momentum was like a rainbow, and its speed was astonishing. He could not escape at all. In an instant, his entire body was split into two, and fresh blood bloomed like a flower. It was a beautiful sight. Green Wolf was killed by Ling Xiao, and the four poison men behind him raised their swords and slashed at his back. Ling Xiao immediately ran a few steps forward to dodge the attack, then turned around and continued to counterattack. The swords and sabers struck the bodies of the four, but the four of them remained unmoved. For swords pierced towards Ling Xiao's chest. F***CK. He's an unkillable monster. Ling Xiao scolded as he leapt away. If not for the fact that he possessed the wind attribute, as well as his rich experience and the advantage of his footwork, he would have been injured by these poison men. If it was a low-level or even mid-level mystic cultivator, he would have been killed long ago. On the other side, the horned black snake python had been bitten by the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King had also been sent flying a few times. If it wasn't for the fact that it had reached the third order, it would have been dead by now. The Golden Wolf King spat out a few grand golden lights towards the horned black snake. The horned black snake was heavily injured, but it still spat out a few balls of black mist. The black mist turned into black snakes and pounced towards the golden light. The Golden Wolf King took the opportunity to pounce over. This time, it saw the opportunity and bit the snake's neck that had already been bitten by the young Qilin. Hiss! The horned black snake python hissed in pain again, and its body kept rolling around. The Golden Wolf King's sharp claws did not stop either, and continued to slash at the horned black snake python's thick body. Wounds appeared on the snake's body, and dark blood flowed out continuously. The horned black snake python saw that it was about to die under the Golden Wolf King, but it suddenly coiled up its 10-meter-long snake body and strangled the Golden Wolf King's huge body. The two spirit beasts rolled into a ball and started to tear each other apart. On the other side, the short spirit master expert was being played around by the young Qilin. He kept throwing out strong attacks at the young Qilin, but the young Qilin was like an amused child, dodging here and there in the air, and occasionally spat out a flame at the short man. The short man noticed that his beloved snake was in danger, and he didn't dare to delay any longer. He gathered all the spirit power in his body and unleashed a terrifying move. There was a strong aura around him, and this aura was many times stronger than that of a high-level mystic cultivator. Clouds of black mist spread out, and the weeds on the side of the road withered the moment they came into contact with it. Could be seen that this black mist contained a large amount of poison. The young Qilin in the air used its intelligent eyes to size up everything, and its body emitted a small ball of flame that wrapped itself around it. It also let the short man gather the aura, and it seemed to want to see what kind of terrifying move the other party had. Not far away, Ling Xiao, who was fighting, also felt this terrifying pressure. His expression became serious, and he shouted to the young Qilin in the air, "Prodigal kid, be careful." Who knew that with this shout, the young Qilin looked over and even cried out a few times at him. At this moment, the short man finished gathering, and his aura reached its peak. All the black mist gathered on his hands, and it was like two balls of black flame that floated around, and it looked extremely magical. "Go and die, black mist scorch." The short man revealed a sinister smile, and with a loud shout, he blasted the black mist in his right hand out. This black mist was as fast and swift as a cannonball. Don't be fooled by its small size, but its destructive power was very shocking. The young Qilin happened to be distracted, and luckily, its reaction was fast, and the black mist brushed past its fur. Not far away, Ling Xiao watched with trepidation, and only heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the young Qilin dodged. But in the next moment, the black mist in the other hand of the short man also blasted out. That speed was actually more than 2 times faster than before, and this was a true killing move. The young Qilin had no way to dodge at all. Rumble. Prodigal kid. Ling Xiao stared at the young Qilin that was blasted, and shocking black fireworks bloomed in mid-air. While Ling Xiao was in a daze, the 4 swords behind him struck his body. The 4 swords were extremely sharp, and 4 deep sword marks appeared on Ling Xiao's back. Not far away, Luo Qingxuang cried out in shock. Without thinking, she put the cub aside and waved her soft sword towards the 4 people. In Meteorite City, in the back mountain of the Ling clan, an old man woke up from his meditation. His eyes flashed, and he murmured, "Who's fighting outside the city?" He was confused, and then he suddenly thought of something, and exclaimed, "Not good! Someone must be trying to kill that kid." Immediately, his figure flashed, and he rushed towards the direction of the battle at full speed. His speed was even faster than the wind attribute Golden Wolf King. At this time, the spirit masters of the various clans all felt the earth-shattering sound of the explosion. Also in the direction of the Ling clan, a tall and skinny old man had a faint smile on his face, and he said, "Arrogant kid, it's time for you to disappear." In the Ling clan leader's resting room, Ling Tsong's eyelids kept twitching, and he had a bad premonition. Something's happened to Xiao Er. Ling Tsong's face was extremely dark, and he opened the window with both hands and flew out of the city through the window. In the Li clan leader's resting room, Li Qianzhong smiled and muttered, "That damned bastard, he's finally gone." He then closed his eyes to rest. Luo Qingxuang was only a high-level Xian Qi practitioner, and when she slashed at a poison man, she only left a sword mark and did not cause any damage to the poison man. She was then sent flying by the poison man with a single move. "Shuang Er, you and Xiao He hide to the side." Ling Xiao flipped over to block the sword attacks of 3 poison men. The Vajra 5 transformation technique in his body quickly began to circulate, and the bloody wound on his back began to coagulate and quickly became a scar. However, Ling Xiao had lost a lot of blood, and his face was still very pale. He did not use any more killing moves, and instead used the sharp metal blade to sweep at the poison man's head. Boom! One of the poison men had his head chopped off by Ling Xiao's blade, and a deep green liquid shot out. At this moment, the Golden Wolf King was fighting with the Short Spirit Master, and the single-horned black snake was already lying on the ground, no longer able to fight. Just as Ling Xiao was about to go up and finish off the black snake, a scarlet-red spirit beast quickly flew out from the sky. Chapter 106. Wasn't it the enlarged young Qilin? The prodigal is fine. Ling Xiao relaxed when he saw the majestic young Qilin. He was really scared just now. It wasn't easy for him to kidnap a young Qilin, so he obviously didn't want it to die just like that. Roar! The young Qilin let out a loud roar. Its eyes were filled with ferocity as it spat out a powerful flame towards the Short Soul Master. The speed and power of the flame was 10 times stronger than the smaller version. The Short Spirit Master's eyes twitched, and he immediately gave up on attacking the Gold Wolf King. He raised his head and saw the flame that was like a huge dragon. He was shocked. Where did such a strong spirit beast come from? He didn't have time to think. He gathered all the spirit energy in his body and sent out 2 palms. 2 balls of black fog met the dark red flame. The black fog was instantly swallowed by the flame and continued to fly towards the Short Spirit Master. Thick black armor. Seeing the flame approaching, the Short Spirit Master didn't have time to retreat. He immediately shouted and the black fog covered his body, forming a heavy black armor. This was the special defense of a Spirit Master. It was enough to block strong attacks from people of the same level. Boom! Ah! The Short Spirit Master was hit by the flame and flew backwards. The black fog and cloak on his body were destroyed, revealing his small and disgusting appearance. The Short Spirit Master didn't think much and immediately scattered his clothes so that the flame couldn't reach his body. He then turned around and quickly ran to the side. He didn't die even after this. This old man is really scary. Ling Xiao saw the young Qilin's attack land on the Short Spirit Master. He thought that the Short Spirit Master would die, but he didn't expect him to escape. He deeply felt that the Short Spirit Master was very scary. A Spirit Master was indeed not someone he could deal with. The battle had just ended when an extremely fast figure flew over. Ling Xiao quickly prepared himself. The Gold Wolf King retreated to his side and stared at the person. The young Qilin shrunk back to its original size and landed on the wolf's head. "Old Master, why are you here?" Ling Xiao cried out in surprise when he saw who it was. "Humph, you're finally willing to come back?" It was the Supreme Elder of the Ling family. He merely glanced at Ling Xiao and snorted coldly, as if he was very concerned about Ling Xiao sneaking out of the family. "Haha, old master, don't be angry. Look at how much I've gained this time. Come, this is the prodigal, this is little gold, this is little black." Come and greet old master. Ling Xiao carried the little black bear and pointed at the young Qilin and the golden wolf king. Did you get all these from the mountain range? The great supreme elder looked at the three spiritual beasts in front of Ling Xiao and was shocked. This brat raised spirit beasts as pets, and raised so many of them. Moreover, these spirit beasts seemed to be very close to Ling Xiao. It didn't seem like he had forcibly brought them back. Moreover, the golden wind wolf in front of him had already reached the third tier. Even if Ling Xiao wanted to forcefully bring it back, he did not have the ability to do so. How did I get them? Of course, they followed me willingly. They probably think that I'm kind, cute, and easy to get along with. Ling Xiao rubbed his nose and said arrogantly, "Humph, your ability to brag has grown." The great supreme elder knocked on Ling Xiao's head and lightly scolded him. His eyes were filled with love. He didn't expect his disciple to not only bring back 3 powerful spiritual beasts in such a short period of time, but his strength had also jumped from mid-level to mid-level. This Tenbin really made him speechless. "Oh right, who tried to kill you just now?" The great supreme elder suddenly remembered the reason he had rushed over and asked Ling Xiao. Just as Ling Xiao was about to speak, another figure rushed over at an extremely fast speed. "Xiao are you all right?" The person hadn't even arrived, but the voice was already heard. When Ling Xiao saw who it was, he immediately replied, "Grandpa, Xiao is fine." As soon as he finished speaking, Ling Tsong had already arrived in front of him. He looked at Ling Xiao from head to toe, as if he was afraid that something had happened to his grandson. "That's good." Ling Tsong let out a sigh of relief. He then looked at the great supreme elder and respectfully greeted him. Ling Tsong greets the great supreme elder. "Oh right, Shuang quickly come and greet the great supreme elder and my grandpa." Ling Xiao called out to Luo Qingxuang, who had just woken up from her meditation. Luo Qingxuang came in front of the 2 elders and said with a bit of shyness, "Luo Qingxuang greets the great supreme elder and clan leader Ling." The 2 elders looked at the beautiful Luo Qingxuang and narrowed their eyes in satisfaction. They secretly praised. Not only did this brat bring back so many spiritual beasts, he even found his future wife. I'm really speechless. Child, from now on you can call me Grandpa Ling like Xiao does. I left in a hurry this time and didn't bring any gifts. I'll make it up to you next time, Ling Tsong said kindly to Luo Qingxuang. At this time, the great supreme elder took out a thin sword from somewhere. The sword's scabbard glowed red and was engraved with lines of spiritual patterns. It looked like the colorful feathers of a phoenix adorned the scabbard, making it look very noble and extraordinary. Rainbow sword. Ling Xiao recognized the sword in the great supreme elder's hand at a glance, and his eyes were filled with envy. This was a high-grade second-grade sword. When the great supreme elder wanted to take him in as a disciple, he had tried to coax and pester him to get his hands on this high-grade second-grade sword. However, the great supreme elder refused to give it to him no matter what. Thus, Ling Xiao could only settle for the next best thing, the azure crystal sword and the silver ghost blood blade. However, he knew that both of his weapons were not as valuable as the rainbow sword. Without a profound level weapon, a high-grade second-grade weapon would be the best. "Take it. This is a greeting gift from this old man," the great supreme elder said lightly as he handed the sword to Luo Qingxuang. Luo Qingxuang hesitated for a moment, but under the encouragement of Ling Xiao's gaze, she stepped forward to thank the great supreme elder and accepted the rainbow sword. Her heart was filled with an indescribable joy. "All right, let's talk when we get back," Ling Tsong said from the side. "Wait a moment. I'll go collect the spoils of war." Ling Xiao nodded and began to inspect the spoils of war. The most valuable thing was the horn of the black-horned snake and its beast core. There was also the snake gallbladder, the snake tendon, and the snake skin. Of course, Qing Lang's mid-tier 2 dragon beheading heavy blade was not an ordinary item either. At this time, the great supreme elder and Ling Tsong also noticed the decapitated corpses of the poison men. Worry flashed across their faces. After collecting the spoils of war, Ling Xiao first sent Luo Qingxuang back to the Luo family's territory before heading back to the Luo family with the two elders. After 2 months, he once again returned to Meteorite City to the Ling family. His strength was no longer the same as before, and this part of the world had changed greatly because of him. In a remote area outside the city where few people lived, there was an abandoned manor. The manor's buildings were old and dilapidated, but the area it took up was not small. It was not hard to guess that this place once had a glorious history. This place once had a very elegant name, Lu Tingxian. It turned out that this place had been specially decorated by the owner's family. There were small bridges and flowing water, willows swaying in the wind, and pavilions and jade buildings, so it was called Lu Tingxian. Unfortunately, this Lu Tingxian had been struck by a plague 50 years ago. More than 100 people in Lu Tingxian died from the plague. From then on, no one dared to take even half a step into Lu Tingxian. However, at this time, the short spirit master who had been injured by the young Qilin appeared in front of Lu Tingxian. He came to the front of the most inconspicuous old building, looked left and right, and seeing that there was no one around, he directly went in. Then, he came to the bed and twisted the bed frame. The stone bed actually slowly opened up. Not long after, an underground secret room that could only fit one person appeared in front of him. The short man did not even think and directly jumped in. Then, the underground secret room actually closed up again. It was completely impossible to tell that this was the entrance to an underground secret room. The underground secret room was very spacious. It was dark and gloomy, with only a few spots of light. It seemed extremely quiet and deep. However, there were no less than 100 black shadows standing here. If Ling Xiao was here, he would definitely discover that half of these black shadows were actually poison men. Every single one of them was lifeless, and their faces were dark green and ferocious. The other half were all dead people. Their skin was very pale and frightening. It seemed that they had not been refined into poison men yet. In another corner of the wall, there was a large cauldron that was half the height of a person. Next to it was a large pile of poisonous grass. It was clearly used to refine poison pills. There was a strong aura of death and the unpleasant smell of poisonous grass. It made people feel deep and terrifying. After the short spirit master returned to the secret room, he swallowed a few pills and then sat on the stone bed to meditate. About an hour later, Mo slowly woke up. That damned little bastard. How could he possibly have such a powerful spirit beast helping him? The short spirit master gnashed his teeth and muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with a strong killing intent. At this time, a rhythmic knocking sound came from the entrance to the secret room. The short spirit master's face flashed with impatience. After hesitating for a moment, he still came out of the secret room. On top of the building, a tall, thin person wearing a gray robe and a black cloth over his face was walking back and forth with his hands behind his back. The entrance to the secret room opened, and a short spirit master jumped out from below. "Old man, thank you for your help this time." The masked person immediately cupped his hands in thanks when he saw the short spirit master. "Humph, don't thank me too early. That kid isn't dead yet." The short spirit master swung his sleeves and snorted coldly. "What? You made such a big commotion and you didn't kill that kid?" The masked person was shocked. He was very clear about the short spirit master's strength. It was impossible that he couldn't even kill a middle-stage mystic cultivator. Even with the help of a spirit beast, he couldn't have failed. "It's your fault for providing inaccurate information. I originally thought that he only had a small scarlet beast that would make things a bit more troublesome for me, but that high-level 2 wind wolf you were talking about is now a level 3 wind wolf king. Even my beloved snake died under its claws. Furthermore, there's another scary spirit beast that almost took my old life." The short spirit master said without any good mood. He didn't know that the one that attacked him from behind was the little scarlet beast. He mistakenly thought that there was another powerful spirit beast helping Ling Xiao. Impossible, the Li family's information can't be wrong. That was clearly a high-stage 2 wind wolf. Otherwise, how could it have been surrounded and killed by Li Yuanlong and the others? The masked person retorted in disbelief. "Ling Laowu, I saw it with my own eyes. How can I be wrong? This time, not only did I lose my beloved snake, I also lost 4 death warriors. What a huge loss. If you don't think of a way to compensate me, I won't do it. The short spirit master roared at the masked person. Chapter 107. Old Ghost, you must remember your promise. Before we seize control of the clan, you cannot back out. The masked man did not look weak as he spoke. Are you threatening me? Let me tell you, Fifth Ling, no one in Meteor City can threaten me. If you don't give me a satisfactory reward, then don't blame me for turning against you. The short spirit master raised his head and gloomily stared at the masked man. The masked man clenched his fists and finally relaxed them. He smiled and said, Old Ghost, don't be impulsive. After this is done, we will definitely take the medicine cauldron you want from the artifact pavilion as a reward. This is the reward we agreed upon. Also, give me 2 Xian artifacts as compensation for the loss of my love snake. The short spirit master spoke in a tone that didn't allow for negotiation. Xian artifacts could be counted in Meteor City, but this short spirit master dared to ask for 2. If it was someone else, they would definitely call him a madman. The masked man was also cursing in his heart, but he still comforted the short spirit master and said, Old Ghost, the number of Xian artifacts in Meteor City can be counted on one hand. If you ask for 2, where would I go to get them for you? At most, I can give you 1. How about I give you 10 high-tier second-level weapons? What use do I have for high-tier second-level weapons? Since you can only get 1 Xian artifact, then you can exchange it with your Ling clan's Cyan tier Xian technique. The short spirit master said. The masked man narrowed his eyes and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. He immediately said, Okay, I hope you won't disappoint me in half a year. Otherwise, I won't be able to do what you said. That's natural. As long as you provide me with enough poisonous grass, I will definitely do what I promised you. The short spirit master promised. Immediately afterward, the 2 talked for a while before the masked man left Lu Tingxian. Stupid guy, if you don't keep your promise, I will bury your entire clan. The short spirit master looked at the back of the masked man and cursed in his heart. Back at home, the first thing Ling Xiao wanted to do was to go home and take a bath. He didn't want to think about anything else and would talk about it the next day. There was nothing he could do about it. During his time in the mountain range, he only had a pool to wash his body when he first entered the mountain range. Later on, he entered the illusory valley and fell into the abyss. He was in extreme danger and had a brush with death. There was no time or clean water for him to wash. The 2 old men saw that the kid didn't have any fear after the battle, so they let him be. They just told him to find them immediately after he had a good rest. They had something important to ask him. Ling Xiao replied, Got it. Then he headed back to his courtyard. At this time, the sky had just brightened. The guards patrolled the streets in groups of 3 or 5, while the servants rushed to the market to buy the necessities for their masters. As soon as these people saw Ling Xiao riding the Golden Wolf King, they all panicked and ran in all directions to avoid him. The slightly braver guards recognized Ling Xiao and quickly bowed to Ling Xiao. Greetings, Lord Deacon. Ling Xiao nodded at them and sped up the speed of the Golden Wolf King. He thought to himself, Little Gold is still too cool, but I like it. Soon, Ling Xiao arrived at his courtyard. He saw a young girl dressed in light and elegant silk leaning against the door, lost in thought about something. This young girl had a delicate and tender face, pure and flawless beautiful eyes, red lips like the petals of a flower, slender and elegant figure, as slender as a willow, and bulging breasts like a purse. From afar, she looked like a daffodil, tranquil and pleasant, making people want to love her. The girl seemed to have heard something. She looked up and saw a 4-meter-long wolf not far in front of her. Ah! The young girl cried out in alarm. Her face was deathly pale from fright. She quickly turned around and ran into the house. At this moment, a gust of wind drifted towards her. In the next moment, her slender waist was grabbed by a strong and powerful hand. Who is it? Let me go. Otherwise, I'll scream. The girl struggled to slap the hand around her waist, screaming non-stop. My darling, it's only been 2 months and you don't recognize me? A frivolous voice rang in her ear. Suddenly, the girl stopped struggling. Her body trembled a few times. Then, she turned her head and saw a handsome face appear in front of her. Young master. When the girl saw the person holding her, she exclaimed in disbelief. The person holding the girl was none other than Ling Xiao, who had just returned home, and the person he was holding was his personal maid and godsister, Bai Yushi. Ling Xiao closed his eyes and brought his head closer. He took a whiff of Bai Yushi's body fragrance and lightly praised, "Yushi, you smell even more fragrant than before." Bai Yushi smiled and said, "Young master, you're finally back." Then, she buried her head deeply in Ling Xiao's warm chest. A sense of stability, steadiness, and happiness assaulted the depths of her heart. Ever since Ling Xiao entered the mountain range, she would wait at the door every day for her young master to return safely. After dozens of days and nights of anticipation, her young master had finally returned. She was truly happy, very happy. Xiao, you're back." A woman's surprised voice came from the house. Needless to say, it was definitely Ling Xiao's mother, Meng Xiun. Hearing Meng Xiun's voice, Bai Yushi hurriedly struggled to leave Ling Xiao's embrace. However, Ling Xiao's hands were like a pair of pliers, unwilling to let go. "Mother, Xiao is back." Ling Xiao hugged Bai Yushi and walked into the house. He called out to Meng Xiun, who was walking over. Meng Xiun quickly walked to Ling Xiao's side and said lovingly, "Child, you're finally back. You really made Mother worry to death. In the future, remember to bring guards when you go out. That way, Mother can be at ease." Feeling Meng Xiun's concern, Ling Xiao felt a warm current flow in his heart. Immediately, Ling Xiao let go of Bai Yushi and walked over to hug his mother's shoulder. "Mother, Xiao is very hungry. Tell the servants to get me something to eat. I'm going to take a bath." Meng Xiun glanced at the blushing Bai Yushi and smiled at Ling Xiao. "Hurry up and go, your body stinks. I'll call the servants to prepare some food for you." "Mother, wait a moment. Let me introduce you to a good friend I brought back from the mountain range. Xiao Jin is coming in." Ling Xiao turned around and called out to the outside. Hearing Ling Xiao's voice, the Golden Wolf King came in with the young Qilin and the cub. Meng Xiun and Bai Yushi were frightened and quickly hid behind Ling Xiao. "Mother, Yushi, don't be afraid. They're all my friends. This is Little Red, Little Gold, and Little Black. You can call them that in the future. You have to recognize that this is our mother and this is Yushi, young master's good little sister." Ling Xiao comforted his mother and Bai Yushi as he introduced the 3 spirit beasts to them. The 3 spirit beasts seemed to understand Ling Xiao's words and called out to the 2 girls a few times in response. Meng Xiun and Bai Yushi calmed down. They never thought that Ling Xiao would actually bring the legendary spirit beasts back home. However, they still didn't dare to go near the Golden Wolf King. After all, it was too big. Instead, the young Qilin and Little Black were more welcomed. However, the young Qilin didn't seem to like people touching it. Whoever tried to touch it, it would bare its fangs. The 2 girls were so scared that they didn't dare to touch it. They could only fight over the cub and touch it to their heart's content. The cub was also a newborn and didn't have any wild nature. It would lick everyone's face and kiss them. At this moment, Ling Zhan came out from his seclusion. Ling Zhan was also shocked by the Golden Wolf King like the 2 girls. Ling Xiao had to quickly explain. "Good kid, you can even tame a spirit beast. You're quite something." Ling Zhan happily patted Ling Xiao's shoulder and praised him. The one in front of him was a rank 3 spirit beast. It was equivalent to a human spirit master. In Meteor City, the number of spirit masters could be counted on one's fingers. Furthermore, every spirit master was a top-notch expert. Normal people who dared to provoke them would be courting death. Now that his son was able to tame such a strong spirit beast, he felt proud as a father. Let's see who else would dare to come and cause trouble in the future. Don't you know what kind of person your son is? Ling Xiao curled his lips and proudly boasted. That's right, son. What's your cultivation now? Have you already advanced to a high-level Xian Qi cultivator? Ling Zhan asked. After 2 months of bitter cultivation and the black Ganoderma that Ling Xiao provided, he took a small piece every day to increase his Xian Qi. Now, he had broken through from a low-level Xian Qi cultivator to a middle-level Xian Qi cultivator. Before Ling Xiao left home, he was only a middle-level Xian Qi cultivator. Now that Ling Zhan couldn't see his cultivation, he guessed that he was a high-level Xian Qi cultivator. Not a high-level Xian Qi cultivator. Ling Xiao shook his head and paused for a moment before saying, Father, you're too slow. Your son is already a middle-level Xian Qi cultivator. After saying that, Ling Xiao no longer paid attention to his father and directly walked towards his room. Middle-level Xian Qi cultivator? Ling Zhan looked at his son's back and muttered. He then said with a tone of disbelief, This stinking brat, he even wants to trick his father. What an unfilial son. Not long after Ling Xiao entered his room, Bai Yushi brought a few maids with the water that he wanted to bathe in. After the maids left, Bai Yushi came in front of Ling Xiao with a slightly red face and said, Young master, Yushi will help you bathe and change your clothes. Ling Xiao looked at the delicate and beautiful Bai Yushi and swallowed his saliva. Okay. During this period of time, he had been holding it in. He had always been with Luo Qingxuang, but he didn't dare to do anything to her. There was a ball of fire in his heart. Bai Yushi had long been dead set on Ling Xiao. Feeling Ling Xiao's urgent need, she didn't resist at all. Instead, her heart was very eager to receive the young master's love. She hugged Ling Xiao's waist with her delicate hands and looked like she was waiting for him to do whatever he wanted. Chapter 108. Unknowingly, the two of them stayed in the room for the entire morning. Bai Yushi kept asking Ling Xiao about his experiences during this period of time. Every time she heard Ling Xiao say something exciting, she couldn't help but hug Ling Xiao's tiger body tightly. She knew that although the young master's words were very relaxed, it was definitely very dangerous at that time. Oh right, Yushi, you are now a level 7 martial disciple. When you break through to the profound realm, young master will find someone to spar with you so that you can increase your combat experience. This will also be beneficial to your cultivation. Ling Xiao said. 2 months had passed, and Bai Yushi had already advanced from the 4th level to the 7th level. This speed had to be said to be astonishingly fast, mainly because the Water Moon Divine Art that Ling Xiao had passed down to her was indeed a very powerful cultivation technique, and it was also inseparable from Bai Yushi's hard work. Ever since the incident at the Drunken Fragrance restaurant, she had remembered young master's instructions. In order not to become a burden to young master, she had been cultivating the Water Moon Divine Art and the Water Moon Sword technique day and night, which was why she had her current strength. Bai Yushi shrunk into Ling Xiao's embrace and obediently replied, Yushi will listen to young master's words. After a round of warmth with Bai Yushi, Ling Xiao's spirit was completely relaxed. He lay on the bed and fell asleep. When he woke up again, it was already evening. He didn't expect to sleep so soundly that he didn't even know when Bai Yushi had left the bed. It was enough to show that he had been too tired and nervous these past 2 months. Now that he had returned home, his mind was relaxed, which was why he slept so soundly. At this moment, Bai Yushi pushed the door open and walked in, carrying a hot dinner in her hand. When Ling Xiao saw such a fragrant meal, his stomach immediately growled. Young master must be hungry, come and eat. After Bai Yushi was nourished by Ling Xiao, she looked even more beautiful and moving. Thank you, Yushi. Ling Xiao replied. He jumped off the bed naked and began to clean up the dinner. After finishing all the food that Bai Yushi had sent over, Ling Xiao only felt 70% full. It was probably because he had eaten too much dried meat in the mountain range during this period of time that he was tired of it. He felt that the dinner that he cooked at home was especially delicious. After the meal, Ling Xiao walked out of the courtyard and chatted with his parents for a while before he went to appease the 3 spirit beasts. In the past, the Golden Wolf King got hungry very easily. Now that it had swallowed the beast core and become a 3rd-rank spirit beast, its appetite had greatly decreased. The young Qilin seemed to have stayed on the Golden Wolf King's head for a long time. When it saw Ling Xiao appear, it immediately jumped into Ling Xiao's arms. The black cub on the ground also let out a low growl, as if it wanted Ling Xiao to hug it. Ling Xiao placed the young Qilin on his shoulder and hugged the black cub to give it a kiss. He was thinking that he should let Bai Yushi take care of the black cub in the future. It would be easier for her to take care of it when it grew up. As for the Golden Wolf King, Ling Xiao had to think of a way to keep it safe. This made him think of the Spirit Beast Bracer on his hand. He had obtained the Spiritual Beast Bracer from the Green Wolf, and it was specifically used to store spiritual beasts. It turned out that before the Green Wolf died, he had to erase the Spiritual Beast Bracer's spiritual intent before it could be used by him. Now that the Green Wolf King was dead, would the spiritual intent on the bracer disappear on its own? As long as he could use this bracer, he could bring the Golden Wolf King with him at any time. This way it wouldn't be too eye-catching. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao condensed his spiritual intent towards the bracer. When Ling Xiao's spiritual will approached the Spirit Beast wristband, the Spirit Beast wristband automatically received his will. Ha! It really disappeared on its own. I can use it now. Ling Xiao immediately laughed. There was a few dozen square meters of space in the bracer. It was enough for the Golden Wolf King, the young Qilin, and the black cub to move around. Ling Xiao sent his spiritual intent to the Golden Wolf King. The ground flashed and the Golden Wolf King disappeared in front of him. Ling Xiao looked at the Golden Wolf King. Sure enough, the Golden Wolf King was still in the bracer. This is much more convenient. Ling Xiao smiled. Then, he put the black cub and young Qilin into the bracer. In order to put the spirit beasts into the bracer, he had to communicate with the spirit beasts. He had to make sure that the spirit beasts didn't resist. Not just any spirit beast could be put into the bracer. When the spirit beasts wanted to come out, they had to get the permission of the bracer's owner before they could come out. As the owner of the bracer, Ling Xiao could sense everything that was happening in the bracer at all times. As soon as the young Qilin was put into the bracer, it seemed to dislike the environment and wanted to go out. Ling Xiao sensed it, so Ling Xiao let it out. Ling Xiao was in a good mood after solving the problem of the spirit beasts. Lone Eagle, come out for a while. Ling Xiao called in a direction. Then, a figure appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was Ling Xiao's servant Lone Eagle. Lone Eagle greets young master. Lone Eagle bowed to Ling Xiao respectfully. After Lone Eagle and Ling Xiao's trip to the mountain range, Ling Xiao helped him obtain the 1000-year black Ganoderma, which allowed him to break through to the high-level mystic realm. His cultivation was considered top-notch in Meteorite City. Lone Eagle knew that all of this was bestowed upon him by his young master. He had long admired Ling Xiao from the bottom of his heart. Now that Ling Xiao had returned from the mountain range, and his cultivation had risen to the mid-level mystic realm, Lone Eagle was extremely shocked. Back then, it took him a few years to break through from the low-level mystic realm to the mid-level mystic realm. But his young master had broken through to the mid-level mystic realm in just 2 months. The gap was rather terrifying, and it was really a blow to him. Then, when he saw Ling Xiao return with a few spirit beasts, he was completely numb. He was 100% sure that his young master was definitely a monster. At the same time, this made him look forward to Ling Xiao's future. You've worked hard during this period of time, Ling Xiao said to Lone Eagle lightly. Lone Eagle was sent back from the mountain range to remind his grandfather, Ling Tsong, to guard against the 2nd and 5th elders. He also ordered Lone Eagle to protect Bai Yushi at all times. Ever since Ling Xiao returned home, he sensed Lone Eagle's existence and knew that he was secretly protecting Bai Yushi. Since he did not disobey his orders, he felt that Lone Eagle should be very loyal to him. It is Lone Eagle's honor to work for young master, Lone Eagle replied. Then he took out a bag and said, "Oh right, young master. I sold all the weapons I brought back for a total of 25,000 gold coins. Please check and accept them." The weapons that Lone Eagle mentioned were obtained from killing Ardwolf and the others, as well as the Peng's 7 eagles. Ling Xiao did not take the gold coins. Instead, he said indifferently, "Take these gold coins with you. You will follow me from now on. Tell me when you need them." "Yes, young master," Lone Eagle replied and put away the bag again. "Lone Eagle, this young master told you before, as long as you follow this young master loyally, this young master will definitely not mistreat you. Mystic Knight rank is not the end. Do you remember these words?" Ling Xiao asked. Lone Eagle remembers. Lone Eagle replied with slight excitement. Back in the mountain range, Ling Xiao had said something like this to him. At that time, Lone Eagle had only half believed Ling Xiao's words. Now that he saw Ling Xiao's speed of growth, he completely believed it. "Do you still remember this spirit grass?" Ling Xiao took out the wind grass that Lone Eagle had given him from his spatial ring. Lone Eagle nervously nodded, indicating that he remembered. He thought to himself, could this be a low-grade spirit grass? Back then, when he gave it to Ling Xiao, he did not know that it was a wind grass. He only felt that it was extraordinary, so he gave it to Ling Xiao. If it was a low-grade spirit grass and the young master found out, then it would be terrible. "This is a high-grade third-grade wind grass," Ling Xiao said. "Take high-grade third-grade wind grass." Lone Eagle was shocked. Ling Xiao looked at Lone Eagle's expression and knew that he did not recognize this wind grass. Otherwise, he would not have given it to him. Its value was very high, not to mention that Lone Eagle had some wind attribute, so it would be very useful to him. Ling Xiao threw the wind grass back to Lone Eagle. Lone Eagle looked at Ling Xiao in confusion. He thought that Ling Xiao wanted to drive him away, so he immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed. "Lone Eagle deserves to die. Young master, please don't drive Lone Eagle away. Lone Eagle is willing to accept any punishment." "Haha, who said I wanted to drive you away?" Ling Xiao laughed and then helped Lone Eagle up. "This is a reward for you. I hope that you can rely on this wind grass to increase the purity of your wind attribute. Of course, it would be best if you can condense wind baleful chi. Windgrass could increase the purity of a wind attribute martial artist and had the chance to condense wind baleful chi, increasing its lethality. Generally, when a martial artist broke through to the mystic realm, they could separate their own attributes, and these attributes represented their future cultivation strength. For example, if a mystic realm martial artist had the fire attribute, but his fire attribute was only 30% pure, then his cultivation speed would be much slower than a martial artist with 40% pure. If he could obtain some kind of spirit grass or elixir to increase his attribute's purity, then his cultivation speed would be greatly increased. Chapter 109. In fact, this was referring to a person's tenbin aptitude. Du Ying's wind attribute was not very pure, perhaps only 15%. If he absorbed the wind grass, he could increase the purity of his wind attribute by another 10%. Then Du Ying's wind attribute would reach 25%. Cultivating the wind attribute would be much faster than before, and his running speed would naturally be much faster. However, a person could only absorb one wind grass. Eating another would not have the effect of purifying it. The wind grass had another special characteristic, which was that it could condense wind evil chi. The wind evil chi was extremely lethal and also had a corrosive nature, which could increase a cultivator's fighting ability. Du Ying didn't recognize the wind grass, but he knew its uses. His heart surged. However, his mind was still clear. He felt that Ling Xiao might be testing his loyalty, so he handed the wind grass back to Ling Xiao and said, "Young master, you should keep this wind grass. I told you to accept it, I don't need it. From tonight onwards, you can go into seclusion and only come out after you finish absorbing the wind grass," Ling Xiao said generously. Who told him to have a large amount of wind grass in his space ring. Moreover, he had innate wind evil chi, so he didn't care about this wind grass at all. "Many thanks, young master." Du Ying was stunned for a moment before kneeling on the ground and kowtowing in thanks. He was extremely moved. Young master was too generous. The wind grass was worth at least 1,000,000 gold coins. If it was auctioned, it could easily be sold for 1,000 gold coins. Now that young master was giving it to him, How could he not be moved? All right, don't be so wishy-washy. When you come out, I'll give you 2 more Shen arts to cultivate so you can quickly break through to Spirit Master. Ling Xiao waved his hand. Duing thanked him again before returning to his residence and going into seclusion. Many years later, when Lone Eagle recalled how his young master had treated him that night, he was still deeply moved. He felt that choosing his young master was the wisest decision of his life. Ling Xiao didn't take this to heart. He had always been very good to the people around him. Even if Solitary Eagle was just his servant, as long as he was loyal to him, he would train him to be the most powerful servant in the world. After resting for a day, Ling Xiao entered the inner courtyard to see Ling Tsong. As he walked past the martial arts field, all of the younger generation of the Ling family looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. Most of them even greeted Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao returned their greetings with a smile, not showing the slightest arrogance or complacency. Although he was usually a little arrogant and narcissistic, he was still relatively good to others. After arriving at the inner courtyard, Ling Tsong called Ling Xiao to his study. Ling Tsong looked at Ling Xiao with a benevolent smile. Xiao'er, good job. I didn't think that you would recover your Xian realm cultivation so quickly and even break through to the middle level. Grandpa is proud of you, but you must not be arrogant and impatient. Strive to break through to the high level as soon as possible. If you can reach Spirit Master within 10 years, our Ling family will welcome another glorious era. Ling Xiao scratched his head and smiled embarrassedly. Grandpa, Xiao'er won't let you down. All right, it's good that you have such confidence. Now that you've broken through to the mystic realm, I should have given you some rewards, but your grandpa's collection isn't as rich as the Grand Elder's, so I don't plan on giving you anything. Ling Tsong said this and took a sip of tea. This time I called you here to tell you 2 things. Listen carefully. Grandpa, please speak. Ling Xiao listened attentively. First, before the family competition, you can't leave the family carelessly. If you really want to go out, you have to bring the tiger guards. Second, don't get involved in the internal conflicts of the family. Just focus on your cultivation. Ling Tsong warned seriously. With regards to the first point, Ling Xiao could naturally understand his grandfather's thoughts. He was afraid that the Li and Lan families would take revenge on him. After all, he had killed members of the 2 families and crippled one of Li Yuanlong's hands in the desolate mountain range. He had humiliated the Li family in front of all the mercenaries and adventurers. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't let the matter rest. He might even start a war between the 2 families. Thus, his grandfather had him stay in the family for his own safety. As for the second point, Ling Xiao didn't agree with it. Grandpa, those 2 old turtles have always been dissatisfied with you. Are we just going to swallow this humiliation? I suspect that when Daddy and I were crippled, they were the ones who did it, Ling Xiao said with some resentment. Grandpa knows all of this, and I have a plan to deal with it. Once the family competition is over, this situation will no longer exist, so you don't need to worry. As long as you focus on your cultivation, it will be a blessing for the Ling family, Ling Tsong said confidently. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, Xiao'er understands. Looking at his grandfather's expression, Ling Xiao could tell that his grandfather already had a plan, so he didn't say anything else. Right, do you know who the people who tried to kill you were? Were they from the Li family or the Lan family? Ling Tsong asked as he thought about the assassination attempt on Ling Xiao. Thus, Ling Xiao recounted the events of the ambush to him. A dark element spirit master, and a very short one at that. Ling Tsong thought for a moment before asking in shock, could it be him? Grandpa, who is he? Ling Xiao asked. A ruthless poison master. People call him Old Devil, and he is famous for his poison pills. 10 years ago, he killed countless people in Meteorite City. One time, he wanted to steal something from our family, but he was severely injured by the Grand Elder and chased out of Meteorite City. I didn't think that he would come back again, Ling Tsong said seriously. At this time, Ling Tsong thought about the news that Ling Xiao had brought back. The second elder and the fifth elder had sent people to purchase poisonous plants. Could it be that they were in cahoots with Old Devil? If that was the case, then it would be difficult to deal with them. Ling Xiao also thought of the same thing as Ling Tsong. Otherwise, he couldn't understand how someone of Green Wolf status could be able to hire such an expert to kill him. Xiao Heir, when you go see the Grand Elder, remember to tell him about this and see what he has to say, Ling Tsong said seriously. Yes, Grandpa, Ling Xiao replied. After chatting with Ling Tsong for a while, he left. After leaving the inner pavilion, Ling Xiao went to the second floor of the mysterious skill pavilion. Grandpa, I'm here. Ling Xiao greeted the Grand Elder as soon as he saw him reclining in his chair. You've been playing outside for 2 months. It's time to start cultivating again. The Grand Elder didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Yes, Grandpa, but Grandpa told me to bring you a message, Ling Xiao replied. He then told the Grand Elder about the Poison Master trying to kill him. After hearing this, the Grand Elder's eyes flashed and he said, No wonder I felt a poison at that time. I didn't think that guy would come back. Grandpa, is that short guy very strong? Ling Xiao asked. Although he knew that the short guy was a spirit master, his grandfather and the Grand Elder in front of him shouldn't be weaker than him. Why did they look so serious? 10 years ago, he was a middle spirit master. Do you think he's strong or not? The Grand Elder said. He then continued, His strongest point isn't his cultivation, but his poisonous elemental attacks. Normal people will die immediately if they come into contact with it. Even if they don't die, they will lose the ability to fight and will be at his mercy. Is that scary? Ling Xiao thought back to yesterday when he was surrounded by the black mist. The swollen tumor on his body made him feel a lingering fear. However, he didn't understand why he didn't die from the poison. Instead, the poison disappeared before it spread to his organs. Could it be that Bede or Lu Wang helped him? Ling Xiao hadn't broken through to the spirit master level yet, so he couldn't look at his dantian and sea of consciousness. He only knew that a gray bead had entered his head in the abyss of the mountain range, so he guessed that it was either the bead or Lu Wang in his sea of consciousness that helped him. If I knew he wouldn't change, I would have killed him that day, the Grand Elder said regretfully. Old Master, you don't have to blame yourself. Who would have thought that this guy would dare to come back? Ling Xiao comforted him. He then continued, Old Master, Second Elder and Fifth Elder used the clan's treasury to purchase poisonous plants. Could it be related to this old man? An awkward expression flashed across the Grand Elder's face as he said, Back then, I promised the Patriarch that I wouldn't interfere with the family's internal affairs. I know that the Second and Fifth Elders are targeting your grandfather, but I know that as long as I'm here, they won't dare to go too far. I just didn't think that they would collude with this kind of person in order to seize the position. It really makes one's heart ache. You don't need to worry about this matter. If I really find out that they're colluding with that old ghost, I'll personally send them to the Patriarch to repent. Yes, Grandpa. Ling Xiao looked at the Grand Elder's expression and knew that he might have some difficulties that he couldn't say, so he didn't say anything else. All right, go back to the back mountain and cultivate the 5 transformations Vajra secret art. You're not allowed to come out until you've reached the grand accomplishment stage of the second transformation. I'll have someone send you some medicine. Here are 3 bottles of muscle-growing pills and chi-restoring pills, enough for you to reach the mid-accomplishment stage. As for whether or not you can reach the grand accomplishment stage, that will depend on your luck, the Grand Elder said as 2 bottles of pills appeared in his hand. At this time, Ling Xiao noticed that there was an inconspicuous ring on the Grand Elder's pinky finger. There was no need to guess to know that this was a space ring. Ling Xiao secretly sighed. The Patriarch is truly worthy of being the #1 master of Meteor City. He even has such a rare treasure like a space ring. If it was before, Ling Xiao would have tried to coax the Grand Elder into giving him a space ring, but now that he had one, he no longer coveted the Grand Elder's ring. Ling Xiao put away the muscle-growing pills and chi-restoring pills. These 2 pills were good stuff and were both Tier 2 pills. The former was an upgraded version of the Dew-restoring pill, which had a better healing effect, while the latter was an upgraded version of the chi-restoring pill, which had a faster chi recovery effect. Patriarch, can you see if I've reached the grand accomplishment stage of the second transformation? Ling Xiao said as he circulated the 5 transformations Vajra secret art. His entire body was shrouded in a dazzling golden light. The Grand Elder snappily said, "This is an elemental light. How can it be considered the grand accomplishment stage?" The Grand Elder already knew that Ling Xiao was of the metal attribute, so he didn't think that he had reached the grand accomplishment stage of the second transformation. Chapter 110. Old Master. Take a closer look. Ling Xiao tore off his shirt, revealing his chest so that the Great Elder could see his skin color clearly. The skin color of his chest was also like the attribute light, suffused with a golden color, as if his body was made of gold, making him look extremely sturdy. The Great Elder bounced up from his chair and stared at Ling Xiao's muscles with wide eyes. Most mystic cultivators could emit attribute light, but the attribute light was outside the body, not on the skin. However, Ling Xiao's skin had turned golden, which was a sign of the second transformation of the Vajra 5 transformation technique, refining tendons. "How did you do it?" the Great Elder asked anxiously, thinking about how Ling Xiao had only been practicing the Vajra 5 transformation technique for half a year, and now he had already reached the second transformation. How could he endure this? Thinking back to the time when he had reached this stage, he had spent many years and suffered a lot before he could reach this stage. Thus, Ling Xiao roughly told the Supreme Elder about his training with the black bear in the mountains, as well as some of the thrilling things that happened during the training. "You said that you obtained the sap of the 10,000-year tree and found the existence of the secret realm?" the Great Elder asked with excitement in his eyes. "Yes, old master. Otherwise, how could I have become a mystic cultivator again in such a short period of time?" Ling Xiao nodded in response. "Haha, you little brat. Your luck is truly enviable." The Grand Elder laughed in Ling Xiao's stead. Then, he solemnly warned, "Don't ever mention this to anyone else, not even your own friends. Otherwise, you'll be killed." "Yes, old master," Ling Xiao said seriously. He then said, "Now that I've cultivated to the 3rd stage, the organs refinement stage, will you take out some more pills for me to cultivate with?" The Great Elder heard Ling Xiao's words and shook his head. "You brat, you've clearly reached the second transformation, yet you still dare to take my flesh-growing pill and chi-returning pill. Now you're still trying to extort me. Are you asking for a beating? But how am I supposed to continue refining without medicinal pills?" Ling Xiao asked helplessly. He knew that in order to cultivate the Vajra 5 transformation's secret art, each transformation required a large amount of spirit grass and elixirs. The more one cultivated, the higher the grade of spirit grass and elixirs needed. If one did not have enough elixirs to absorb in the early stages, it would be impossible to continue cultivating. That would only harm one's body. The Great Elder let out a long sigh and said, "I'm the same as you. I've only reached the small success stage of the 3rd transformation. This is because in order to refine the 3rd transformation, I need spirit herbs and pills at or below the 4th stage. How can it be so easy to obtain 3rd stage spirit herbs and spirit herbs?" After listening to the words of the highest elder, Ling Xiao was speechless. It seemed that he had never heard of a 3rd-grade alchemist in Meteorite City. Could it be that the Vajra 5 transformation's secret art could only be cultivated to the initial stage of the 3rd transformation? After leaving the profound skill chamber, Ling Xiao returned to his residence. He was very depressed in his heart. He knew the magic of the Vajra 5 transformation's secret art. Although he had to suffer a lot in order to cultivate each transformation, once he succeeded, his defense would definitely become too strong. Moreover, it would have the effect of self-healing. He was thinking that if he cultivated to the last transformation, the blood refinement realm, would he be able to regrow his broken limbs? Ling Xiao was unwilling, but he also knew that he had no other way. The Great Elder, with such a high level of cultivation, had only reached the small success stage of the 3rd transformation, the organs refinement realm. This was completely because the resources in Meteorite City were too backward. 3rd stage spirit herbs could be found in the depths of the mountains, But where could he find third-stage pills? In Meteorite City, there were third-stage blacksmiths, but there was not a single third-grade alchemist. This was also the reason why the Great Elder stopped here. With my current strength, as long as I don't meet a spirit master, protecting myself shouldn't be a problem. Now, I should raise my strength first. Maybe when I go to the Purple Sky Sect, there will be a third-grade alchemist. Ling Xiao shook his head and let himself forget his worries. He began to calm down and meditate. Ling Xiao calmed his mind and began to circulate the three-part restoration qi. The dark force in his body washed his body, and he only felt that his strength was very pure and full. He also sighed in his heart that his trip to the mountains this time had brought him too many surprises. Although he had brushed shoulders with death a few times, it was all worth it to be able to increase his strength. While Ling Xiao was meditating, the small tree in his sea of consciousness also emitted a bright light. Wisps of dark force were constantly being absorbed by the roots of the small tree. The gray bead at the side also emitted a faint light. A portion of the dark force was also absorbed by it. The light became brighter and brighter, looking strange. After meditating for a long time, Ling Xiao only felt that his whole body was relaxed and calm. When I return to the clan, I won't have spirit beast meat to eat, and there won't be any shortcuts to increase my dark force. In the future, I have to cultivate steadily. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. In the mountains, he could increase his dark force by eating spirit beast meat every day. He didn't need to cultivate much to increase his dark force. But when he returned to the clan, it was different. Without spirit beast meat to eat, if he wanted to increase his strength, he had to cultivate honestly. Right? I haven't had a chance to take a closer look at the treasures inside this space ring. Now, let me see what this Earth Sovereign Realm Supermaster has. I hope they don't disappoint me. Ling Xiaokai remembered that he hadn't had a chance to examine the contents of the space ring since obtaining it, so now was the time to study what treasures he had. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's eyes became hot and his gaze turned to the spatial ring. Ling Xiao first looked at the pile of spirit herbs. There were at least 100 spirit herbs here, and each one was full of spirit energy. It was obvious that they were of high grade. The first thing he saw was a relatively large spirit herb, and it was very green. The stem of this spirit herb was as thick as an arm, and there were only 3 leaves at the top. Each leaf was very strange, and the patterns on the leaves were in a spiral shape instead of a straight line. They looked like round eyes, and they looked very strange and intelligent. Eye plant. Ling Xiao's mouth was wide open as he looked at the spirit herb in front of him, and his expression was very surprised. Ling Xiao had already memorized the catalog of spirit herbs, and he recognized the origin of this spirit herb at a glance. Eye plant, a low-grade 3 spirit herb, was a high-grade spirit herb that could replenish blood. If anyone lost too much blood in a fight, as long as they still had a breath left, the eye plant would be able to restore 100% of their blood. This was a kind of spirit herb that could save one's life. Moreover, it had a major characteristic, and that was that it could allow one's eyes to see 1,000 miles for 2 days without being obstructed by night. It was very suitable for reconnaissance. In addition to the above effects, eye plant was also the main spirit herb for refining grade 3 spirit pills. It was very useful, but for the current Ling Xiao, this eye plant wasn't very useful. Then he looked at the next spirit herb. This spirit herb was shaped like a star, and it was intertwined with small blue vines. It exuded a strong water attribute spirit qi. Starlight grass. Ling Xiao's eyes became hot, and he couldn't help but exclaim as he looked at this spirit herb. Starlight grass was of a higher grade than eye plant. It was a middle grade 4 spirit herb, and it was a water attribute spirit herb. Its effect was the same as the blue water grass that Ling Xiao had obtained from the pool in the mountain range. However, its effect was many times stronger than the blue water grass. It could increase the purity of a water attribute spirit herb, and it could also increase the Shen energy of a water attribute spirit herb. If the starlight grass was put up for auction, it would cause a great sensation in Meteor City. Its value could no longer be measured with gold coins. Generally, spirit herbs that reached grade 4 and above would only be exchanged with things of the same grade, such as spirit herbs, spirit herbs, Xian skills, and so on. Devil Blue Flower, middle grade 4 spirit herb with water attribute. Thousand-year red fruit, middle grade 3 spirit herb with fire attribute. Thousand-year ice lotus fruit, high grade 4 spirit herb with ice attribute. Ling Xiao looked at each spirit herb that was no lower than grade 3, and his expression became numb. In his heart, he was shouting that he had picked up a treasure. The collection of an Earth Sovereign stage powerhouse was really extraordinary. Ling Xiao looked at one of the spirit herbs that was shining with golden light, and his eyes widened. 5. High grade 5 golden ridgegrass. Golden ridgegrass was a metal attribute spirit herb, so its effect was naturally very significant. However, the reason why Ling Xiao was so surprised was not because it was of the highest grade, but because he remembered the most important spirit herb to cultivate the 4th transformation of the 5 transformation Vajra secret art, bone refining. I've struck it rich. I've struck it rich. Ling Xiao looked at his space ring and exclaimed in excitement. He cried out in surprise in his heart. It was really worthy of being called a secret realm. No wonder so many people would risk their lives to find a secret realm. Looking at this small pile of spirit herbs, I'm afraid even a king stage powerhouse would be envious. Calm. Ling Xiao stroked his racing heart and took a deep breath to calm himself down before turning his attention to the beast cores on the side. Ling Xiao slowly counted and found that there were at least 100 beast cores here, and each one was no worse than the one Ling Xiao had obtained from the lunar wind beast. There were a variety of colors and should be the beast cores of various 5-element spirit beasts. Among the many beast cores, there was one that exuded a purple halo and was surrounded by a thin electric current, making it look extremely extraordinary. Thunder Attribute Beast Core. Ling Xiao looked at the beast core in front of him and exclaimed. He had already seen the extraordinariness of this space ring and was no longer as excited as he had been at the beginning. Thunder Attribute Spirit Beasts were extremely rare. The 3rd order lightning eagle Ling Xiao had encountered in the mountain range was a dual wind and thunder attribute beast, but its thunder attribute should only be a secondary attribute as its beast core was not as powerful as the one in front of him. Looking at this head-sized thunder attribute beast core, Ling Xiao was 100% sure that the thunder attribute spirit beast he had encountered was at least 5th order. He really hadn't expected that Earth Sovereign Stage Master to be so terrifying. A 5th order spirit beast was equivalent to a human Earth Sovereign Stage existence, yet it had still been killed by that Earth Sovereign Stage Master. Presumably, that Earth Sovereign Stage Master had already reached the high level. This is great. With so many beast cores, it won't be a problem to refine Xian weapons. Also, I can let the Prodigal and Xiao Jin absorb them to speed up their advancement. Haha, this is great. Ling Xiao looked at the beast cores, and the more he looked, the happier he was. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.